Back from vacation, I am here in the comfort of my studio, the fresh tan, or reinvigorated enthusiasm for drafting some best ball teams. We're going to do what we do here on this channel that nobody else is doing out there. We're going to draft on every platform, all the major tournaments today. Underdogs Best Ball Mania, 20-second clocks, DraftKings Millionaire Maker, Drafters Million, competing for $4.5 million in total prizes today. Let's get into it. We are really close to best ball season being over, really relative to obviously starting the process in January and all of that, but 59 days left. I think, well, actually, as of yesterday, 59 days, might be 58 now until NFL season starts. So I've gotten about 85 best ball mania entries in, closer to 30 on drafters and DraftKings as well. So don't think I'm going to be maxing those two tournaments, at least as of right now. We'll see how August hits me, but put up a bunch of drafts while I was on vacation in Florida, including some real drunk batshit rooms on the 4th of July, which were fun. Also ended up in one of the Flock streams one of those days, and those guys really panicked and took quarterback early. But you were here today, picking the 12 hole, been a frequent spot of mine. In fact, I did actually pull up Best Ball Explorer before the show. Where did it go? Thought I had the tab open. Hold on. So you can see some of my data from so far here. Portfolio exposure. Where is this? I know there's a way to see where I'm drafting the most. Here we go. So in Underdog overall, I've had the most 9 spots, good amount of 11s, 12s, not a lot of 101s. In Best Ball Mania in particular, which we are drafting in today, I've actually had the most 9 spots here. 12 times I've drafted the 9 hole, 8 in the 10, 5 in the 11, 7 in the 12. Would have thought it would have been more. So we're drafting the 12 hole today. Hopefully we'll do something fun and unique here with this spot. Players I'm overexposed to, though, and I did drop all my exposures in the Discord. If you are, of course, a member of the channel here, you can add the Discord for yourself as just part of what you're doing by being a member on here. Of course, if you're not a member, make sure to join that Discord. Oh, it's a new setup here on StreamYard. Join the Discord, $5 to join. Of course, it basically you get access to all the little news items throughout the day. I usually comment on them when there's anything relevant. As we head into this training camp time of year, there'll be a lot more going on at the channels. Lots of good conversation on there as well. Guys like Tyler, guys like Robert Griffin III, who was actually mentioning a thing that I talked on the Discord earlier today in the chat. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown here, Brian Thomas here, Derrick Henry, one of my highest exposed players. I do like to build balance from this spot, so I'm going to take Amon-Ra with one of these clicks. So I have a Detroit start. Would like to get more Brian Thomas. I do often take Derrick Henry here. Actually, a guy I have over 20% right now in Best Ball Mania is Derrick Henry, which I think was a surprise to a lot of people in the Discord. I'm going to go Achane. Just trying to balance myself out here with how much Henry I have. And Achane, I would say, similar ceiling on at least a per-game basis. If not, total points format, I would say Derrick Henry probably a better play, given how much better Buffalo's offense should be, how dog shit Miami's been every year. ETR, Pat Thorman, I would say one of the better football writers in the entire industry. I wrote up some of the pace assumptions this year based upon what we saw last year, some of the free agent moves and things like that. I guess some of the rumors and innuendo from teams. And he pointed out the Dolphins played really slow last year, expects them to play slow again this year. Kind of odd for a team that doesn't have a great defense to do that, but certainly they're a team that Achane can benefit from the fact that they are going to be run dominant. Targeted him a ton last year as well, with Achane picking up a 25% target per route run, which for a running back who's putting up 21 routes a game, that's pretty good work for him. I think Achane's got a similar per game ceiling to Derrick Henry. So if I'm drafting on drafters, I'm drafting in a total points format Underdog. I guess DraftKings doesn't have any. But if I'm drafting total points format, I think I would like Derrick Henry more. But as it is right now, I just got to balance out my Derrick Henry because he's in a lot of my lineups right now. Robert Griffin III here, gifted a membership. I appreciate that. And here's what I was talking about, the chat that Robert Griffin III had. I was not gooning to NFL Wags. What happened before the show, I was trying to watch Quarterback, the Netflix show, because I feel like I haven't seen them reporting on it a ton yet, so I figure I can at least see what I can extrapolate from watching that show. And Joe Burrow, looking back at last year's Joe Burrow, what can we learn? Probably not a lot, but it's okay content. So put that on, and basically, I guess while my wife came down to get the dog real fast, there's a scene where Jared Goff's girlfriend, Kristen Harper, is just frolicking on the beach in a bikini. I'm assuming they're just showing oh, here's his girlfriend and what she does. She's a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model, but it's oh, I know she's coming down. My wife's coming down. She doesn't think I'm just here jerking off to Netflix Quarterback. Out of all the things in the world I could be jerking off to, that's pretty low on the priority list. And, but Kristen Harper, I mean, you see that on the screen. How are you not going to look? Where do I stand on DraftKings releasing drafting data before locking the contest? It's weird. Definitely different. There wasn't anything in there that was that surprising, though. QB stacks being around 33% to 40%. Really not a big shocker there. I didn't go through and pour through the data myself. I saw it all secondhand from other people because I just didn't have the time to dig into the full data dump they had. But if you missed it, apparently DraftKings will be dropping every month what the draft results are from that previous cycle. So people that do really want to dig in on the data, it's some advantage, I'm sure, to learn what people are doing, to try to see the trends, try to build a little bit differently off of that. But I think for most people, it's like, I would imagine the amount of people that look up that data and look into it in any real way, let alone are going to parse through an Excel and put together like, oh, here's every draft, and here's what I take from it. It's got to be like less than 5% of the field. So never a great thing to give the sharpest players more of an edge, and that's probably what's the case here. But does it really matter for drafting teams and winning it all? Probably not, would be my guess. Got a couple picks coming up from here, so we're just stalling for time. Let's see. No shame in jerking off to Netflix quarterback. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Kristen Harper, though, I was saying to our guys in the Discord before, and I mean to keep plugging the Discord. It's just where most of my conversation goes on these days because I'm not on any of the other platforms at this point. Would say that, for Kristen Harper, she's, I would say for me, top 3 NFL girlfriends, not just quarterback, but all the wags out there. I feel like she's, let's say built for speed. Built for speed and comfort. I don't know. We got Jayden Achane here, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Breece Hall, slight discount, Mike Evans, good one, we're making up a receiver. Have been trying to up my Jayden Daniels exposure, and I will do that more here. The jersey, still, I'm not going to get up and get it, but I do want to get more Jayden Daniels. Kind of was thinking about it over the break. Elite QB, not really price tags I want to pay too often. But for a guy who was as good as he was for me last year, entering year 2, having more weapons, having more development, having, frankly, some good quotes about he's been working on, I do want to get more Jayden. And Mike Evans, another player I take pretty comfortably here. And I'll do that again. Trying to get a little bit more Kittle lately. Definitely I'm underexposed to him, under 8% in terms of my Kittle exposure. But for me, Mike Evans, a player that if he's my wide receiver 2, if I'm going RB heavy or elite tight end plus a couple RBs, I think Mike Evans digs you out of that hole a little bit better. So he's a click that's coming up pretty frequently for me. Team so far, Jayden Daniels, Jayden Achane, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans. So again, a balanced build here. Do you think when you start QB, RB, wide receiver, tight end, you end up feeling a little bit too thin at some of the other positions because you're just a little too balanced in those first 4 rounds? Getting 2 receivers in, though, will hopefully give us some flexibility. And having Achane as our hero back at the very least, I think is a pretty good start. Let's see. Let me just scroll down to the board here. Check the chats. I have a weird thing where I want to Terry McLaurin safety blanket some organically under on Jayden. I hate it. I mean, the main thing for me with McLaurin is that I just don't think he's going to do what he did last year. And certainly the longer that holdout does drag on, and apparently they're not very close in money. Terry McLaurin, seeing the other receivers out there getting paid like $40 million, he wants, I think, at least 20 to 25 seem to be the reports. And he's, I think, due to be paid under 10 this year. So for McLaurin, he's going to get new money, but it might take a while. And with the way markets react now that we are in the non-diamond hands portion of drafting season, where it's a lot of people that don't like any uncertainty, that don't like taking the shot that Keenan Allen is going to play this year, they'll go, he might retire. I don't want to draft him. And I guess that's still in the range of outcomes, but not the most likely one. They don't like taking guys on DraftKings, as we all know, when there's a Q tag on a guy. Oh, this questionable tag in July. Like, that matters so much for me drafting a best ball team. Those people are going to panic if Terry McLaurin holds out into August, let's say, if he has a CeeDee Lamb style holdout. So I think for McLaurin, you might have a buying window that comes up. It'd be nice if he fell in a range where you could kind of grab them both in one burst. But if not, Jayden with the backdoor Debo stack, I think is being more valuable this year. I've said it sometimes, like, I watched every Commanders game, and you guys know that if you watch the show a lot. But I watched every Commanders game last year, and what stood out the most to me, besides that, McLaurin and Jayden kind of left a lot of those long touchdown passes or potential touchdown passes on the field. It's probably going to be due for positive regression. It was how McLaurin was scoring a lot of touchdowns in ways that he hadn't in the past, where it wasn't like, a 20-yard shot that gets him in. It's more like a 3-yard slant that got him there. Sometimes like a wide receiver flank or a screen move, like kind of got him in there. Those are things that should go to Debo right away. So I think if you don't get McLaurin, you get Jayden and you take Debo later on. Get Ertz as well. I mean, it sucks to have to take the old guy when Ben Simmons there dying on the vine. But I do think that combo works pretty well for me at receiver if I am stacking up Washington. So I'm low on McLaurin this year. I just think he Kind of like another guy that was high on 2 years ago, was completely off last year. He's just like Michael Pittman. Like, he's just too expensive, like Michael Pittman was last year. I think McLaurin's more talented than Pittman. What he does in half-point PPR, a lot more valuable than what Pittman does. But like functionally, like this, it was just like McLaurin is not correctly priced last year. This year, he's pretty aggressively priced. Whereas Debo, people think he's fat. People saw last year, they don't think he could possibly be better, even though exactly what he does is what Washington's looking for. Kind of short plays that can be turned into more, in addition to some deep shots that Debo just hasn't gotten in the last couple seasons. It's part of that Niners offense. I think things are going to work out well for Debo. But he's one of my highest exposed guys. Juwan Jennings, another one who's been popping up a bunch. Actually imported my drafters data as well to Best Ball Explorer. So we can click around to that when I make these 2 picks. Jayden MVP, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it. I think he's got, I mean, when you keep in mind what he did in year 1, the leap to year 2 should be pretty substantial. Kenneth Walker here, Alvin Kamara here, Mixon here. This is a tough spot. Like these RBs a lot, trying to get more Kenneth Walker. But certainly Kamara and Mixon, I think, better projection plays. I'll go Kenneth Walker here. And I think we're just going to do, I'm not going to go up and get Debo. I'm just going to let him go, I think. Minnesota, Detroit, or go Tampa Bay stack with Godwin. Or take another RB. But I think I'm going to go Addison here. Addison probably still has one more ADP dip to come when his suspension gets officially announced for him brokering a deal for his DUI charge in Southern California. But as it is right now, having Amon-Ra St. Brown, adding Addison on, getting the week 17 correlation, leaving us some optionality as well to add either Goff or McCarthy, or I suppose, Baker Mayfield as well as QB2. If I want to prop up that room further, I think is the move here. So 1 RB, 1 receiver again. Jaden Daniels is our QB. RB, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker. Receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison. No tight ends yet. So kind of teams I'm building a lot of this year. Maybe Sans the elite quarterback. And this is what emotional maturity looks like. It's not the other stuff I do. It's building teams a little more balanced this year. Debo's an upscale Rondale Moore. I don't agree with that. Rondale Moore, I mean, I certainly took him last year, thought that he had a good shot to win that slot role for Arizona before his leg blew up. But I think that for Debo Samuel, still a player, I say his full name there, like I'm for gravitas. For Debo Samuel as a player, I think he's still got more left. I mean, certainly, again, when you look at the numbers from last year, they're not going to be favorable. 0.1 EPA per target, not very good. 20.5% target per out run, effectively pretty bad. It didn't get better with the run plays either. Only 18% intended touch rate, which is pretty low for a receiver, let alone a receiver that gets gadget, kind of jet sweep stuff. 0.6 deep targets a game, still at a 1.1 EPA on there. I think Jayden can get the best out of them. 0.9 red zone targets a game. I think that's positive for Debo. I think that ports over 1-to-1, if not a little bit better for Washington. I could see him getting over 1 a game for Washington. I think Debo's still got more upside there for the role, if not his own ability. And I think, too, playing with Jayden, playing with a team, too, that hopefully doesn't get complacent in year 2, and I don't think they will. I think playing in this kind of situation for him might give us the shot at getting Debo be full motivation again, as opposed to clearly what we saw for the Niners last couple of years. But I'm in the bag for it. So, that's my defense. But really, let's go to Best Ball Explorer again, because I do want to punch through some of this. So here's my exposures overall for all the underdog drafts this year. And I do go a little bit wild in some of the time box tournaments because it just doesn't matter as much to me with my exposures there. My BBM exposures are a little bit flatter. You can see here nobody above 24%, at least as of, I think, yesterday when I imported. Josh Palmer, highest exposed guy. Derrick Henry at 24%. And that one surprises people, I think, the most if they see it, and you've watched the streams for a few years. But I feel pretty good about Derrick Henry and where he gets drafted right now. He is falling in some rooms. I've seen him go 17 in this draft we just did, or we're doing right now. He's gone 18, 19 in some rooms I've seen on Twitter. That worries me a little bit, but I think he's undervalued, especially when Christian McCaffrey is going to get pulled up as much as he does, and Ashton Genty goes where he does. But now my big thing is, I have so much Henry, I have to get that down a little bit, get more Achane, because those guys are kind of functionally the same play to me. Darnell Mooney, a top exposed guy. I think my one concern with this is that he really was not as well targeted when Michael Penix took over last year. But Mooney, a guy that I do like a lot, because I expect Atlanta's offense to be one of the best we see all year. And it might surprise people, I guess, too. But Atlanta Rams really my biggest game stack right now for week 17. I just think that one, I can't imagine a world where that's not a shootout. So Darnell Mooney being a part of that and being a little bit too cheap, going in the 80 to 90 spot. I like Mooney, but Target share-wise in Penix was the lead, was the starter. It was all Drake London. So maybe that's something I should be a little more cautious of with how much Mooney I take. We're coming up here again, though. So clock moving pretty fast. Obviously, a 20-second clock, no surprises. And I'll keep going through my Best Ball Explorer stuff. It's just mostly to show you guys where I am because we are really, at least for me and BBM, at the halfway point of things. We have a 1-2-3-0 here. We have Mooney again. Josh Downs here, who I don't mind. Could also get Hockenson for tight end. I'd be okay with that. There's one of the picks. I'm going to go Hockenson for one of these clicks. So we've now got the Minnesota double with Detroit. Would like to get McCarthy if we can. I want to get more Igbuka. I think Mooney's the best click in this range. Josh Downs, I just find it hard to believe for him. I don't think he can keep the role with Tyler Warren coming in. I think I'm sticking with my guns here. I'm going to stick with Mooney. To me, Mooney is just a little bit too cheap. I think he should be closer. 70s, to me, is the appropriate price for him. But I think as a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, he's a really strong click because I think he's going to give you 20-point games this year. Maybe week to week, the downside's not quite as high, or the upside's not, the upside's there, but the downside, I think the floor maybe a little bit more in question with Drake London being a guy that's probably going to get, I would guess, a 30 to 35% target prop run rate this year. But I think with having Amon-Ra, Evans, Addison, we've got a good baseline here. So I'm going to go with Mooney. So the team so far, Jayden Daniels, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, and TJ Hockenson. So we really don't want to get sniped on McCarthy. At the very least, Goff 2 would make sense, but that's what we're doing right now. Both McLaurin and Debo, double-digit TDs book it. I feel like you might be an actual Washington fan. I think McLaurin has to come down a little bit in touchdowns if Debo's going to have a 10-touchdown year. And Ertz, too, with how he was targeted in the playoffs. I'm assuming that he hasn't fully hit the cliff, and with what he showed last year, I don't see how you would think that. Ertz is probably due for some positive touchdown regression as well. But look, if Jayden has the year that I think he's capable of, he could throw 40 to 45 touchdowns. I mean, with how much he runs, it might be a little bit tough. But if he can feed, theoretically, 3 guys 8 to 15 touchdowns, that wouldn't be crazy. And then the rest of them just kind of flow through to your Luke McCaffrey's, your Noah Brown if he's healthy. Obviously, the RB is getting some targets as well. All right, back to Best Ball Explorer here. Other things to note here. So, Marshawn Lloyd going back to the well this year, 24% is my rate of drafting him right now in BBM. Again, for Marshawn Lloyd, I just think he's too cheap. People got burned by him last year. I did too, but I still think the talent's there. He's gotten healthier. I think the coach speak's been really good for him. Wouldn't shock me to see him come up a good amount as well when people realize he's like your real number 2 back and maybe has a shot to take some targets and some touches away from Josh Jacobs. So Marshawn Lloyd, I think, is cheaper than he probably will be, but we'll see. I'm taking him at 190. He's got a 199 ADP. Tyjae Spears in a timeshare with Tony Pollard and a Tennessee offense. I think will be good. Another top exposed guy. Trey McBride, I'm getting a lot more of him than Brock Bowers. For Bowers, I've got 12%. McBride about double that at 23.5. McBride, I think, is a little bit too cheap. He's getting cheap run rooms as well. As long as he keeps kind of falling towards the mid-20s, 30 range, I'll probably keep scooping him. I think he's just too cheap compared to Bowers. And Bowers is coming down too, so would like to get that more balanced, but I think I'll have combined between those two, 40% McBride and Bowers, which I really have no issue with. Keenan Allen, people don't want to take on the risk because he's a free agent right now. I think at a certain point, he's probably the best pick on the board. For me with Keenan Allen, he's a bailout when I need a wide receiver 6 because I didn't get enough receivers early. I need a wide receiver 7 because I didn't get enough receivers early because I'm such an RB piggy this year. Keenan Allen is a risk I absorb a lot in the 17th, 18th round, and I think he's like your wide receiver J.K. Dobbins, but certainly there's some world where he's fat and retires. I don't know. Anything else to note here? Juwan Jennings, 20% for him. Bateman, 21%. Swift, 21. I've got stands here. Marvin Mims to take a lot of here. People are down on him a little bit. Probably want to mix in more Pat Bryant as kind of a lever against that, but that is what that is. We'll look at some more stuff on Best Ball Explorer throughout the video, but trying to catch you guys up on where I am because I probably have drafted too many BBMs at this point. I wanted to keep myself at like 75 for the back half here, but I feel like I know the draft boards really well because I'm doing 60 slow drafts at the same time. So I've been hitting a lot of BBMs lately, and I am definitely more than you want to hit, I think, in July, but I'm okay with that. All right, we got Jayden here as our QB. Nothing else correlating in a meaningful way that we want to get. Do you want to add more on at receiver and RB? This is a tough spot. I'll take Scattaboo. Think his price tag might come down once he's not like locked into first team reps the moment training camp opens. But he is still a guy that if I were to say somebody looks like Bucky Irving from this class, it would be him. Not crazy about the spot. I think we need better production at receiver than Trey Harris is going to guarantee. I'm going to go Rashad Bateman. So Bateman, wide receiver 5. We got our third RB. Team so far is Jaden Daniels at QB, our elite QB that we got. Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scattaboo is our RB room so far. All high avoided tackle rate guys, all athletic players who theoretically spike as long as Scattaboo actually plays. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman. Bateman to me should go top 100. Maybe the calculus of DeAndre Hopkins taking some red zone work away, some contested targets away doesn't help Bateman. But like Bateman was like a wanted quantity this offseason. Like Dallas almost traded for him. Instead, Baltimore gave him that extension that he got. But I think Bateman's like a useful piece. So happy to get Bateman here. And then TJ Hawkinson's our semi-elite tight end, which I'm cool with. Again, balanced build here with a 1-3-5-1. 60 slow is a little psychotic. I like it. Well, basically what I'm doing this year, and again, I've said it before, like I got my promo credits from Underdog. I presume this will be the last year that I get a bunch of promo credits. I'm just going to try to rob the bank with the promo credits, and I'm going to enter every sidecar tournament possible, and I'm going to max out BBM, and that's going to be my haul for the year. So like I've maxed out every Schnauzer, every Dachshund, everything that's not the puppies basically, or the marathon or the sprint, which I just don't really, I didn't want to eliminate her just out of curiosity, but didn't really, I don't care that much about that stuff. The off-brand tournaments, I don't really want to do, but I want to do all the sidecar ones because number one, frankly, and again, this is me being just trying to be candid. You're competing against the stupidest people. Like some of my most EV, and I could show you guys in Best Ball Explorer, has come in the Schnauzer tournaments where it's not even anything like, oh, this player is like so much better ADP wise. It's just soaking up the value in a room that's not that sharp. So here, Best Ball Explorer, again, bestballexplorer.com. It's part of the ETR/the Solver family there, which the Solver, of course, I do promote in season with DFS. So my best team is just a Schnauzer slow draft here. Where I got compared to where the current values are. 118 picks of ADP value, 62 relative to draft capital, which is kind of a scaled version of ADP value. The team in this one, there we go. Team in this one, so Fields at 100, that's nothing special. Lawrence at 141, value there. Saquon at 4, that's where he's going. Jonathan Taylor right in range, value on Robinson, value on Charbonnet, value on Rachaad White, big value on Austin Eckler, who's now going to the 130s in some rooms. Value on Palmer. I lost a ton of CLV on Jonnu Smith, and I still have this being one of my better lineups. That's what you're getting in these cheap slow turns because those are the guys that you see who are fucking dumb as shit on Twitter. Like if you're going to be real about it, those are the people that are maxed out those tournaments and desperate to get them in because they don't have enough bankroll to put in the bigger tournaments. So I would say, again, if you are trying to get the most mileage out of things, I know people want a puppy. They want that equivalent of like a play action in DFS where you're putting in a 20 max and have a shot at 100K. But putting these $20 or these 20 max tournaments with $4 entries, I think really worth doing because they are the softest rooms. And in a slow draft, even I just see dumb shit teams being built a lot. People have 8 hours to think about it. And it's like, they're not the best drafters, just to be real about it. So that's part of my strategy. BBM and all the sidecar tournaments and not the puppies, I think is what I'm going to be doing this year. We got 2 picks coming up here, and then we'll get back to chats. 1-3-5-1. Unfortunately, someone took McCarthy a while ago. Someone took McCarthy over Goff. You better. Okay, he's got Justin Jefferson at the very least. I was going to say, you've got to have at least Jefferson for that point. All right, so we have a Detroit, Minnesota stack without the QB. I mean, Penix has got to be one of these picks at this point because we need to get somebody good at QB. And we need, I think another RB would make sense in this 2-3-5-1. Ray Davis works. Trey Benson would like more if I had any Cincinnati stuff going. Rachaad White, I do like. Generally, you know what? We got Miami, Tampa Bay, week 17. I'm going to pull up Rachaad White. I'm cool to get more Ray Davis. I think that he had a decent red zone role last year. Got over 1 red zone touch a game, which for a rookie who was not a featured part of the offense, I think is actually pretty good. Yeah, you got 1.3 red zone rushes a game, 0.1 red zone targets a game. It's not bad for year one for him. And for James Cook, like I take a good amount of James Cook, think that he's falling in rooms too often. Ray Davis is probably due to take a little more touchdown equity off the table for Cook, who put up 16 touchdowns last year. So I'm cool with Ray Davis, even though I passed on him here. But Rashad White, we've got Achane in a build where Miami's ahead. Achane scoring a lot of points. You can see Rashad White out there more in this kind of week 17 scenario. So that's my logic for going up and getting Rashad White, besides the fact I like him as a click. I think he's a good wide RB4, RB5. Let's give the team a read. We got Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix here, two of my favorite QBs of the year. At RB, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scatterbu, Rashad White. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison. Again, got sniped on the Detroit-Minnesota stack. It's okay. Darnell Mooney here, coiling with Michael Penix, of course. And Rashad Bateman to round out the receiver room so far. Feel like he's a good cutoff for wide receiver 5. And TJ Hockenson at tight end. I think pretty solidly about him. Should look at his numbers, though, to feel if I should feel solidly about him. 0.17 EPA per target, not fantastic. 22% target per out run, not fantastic. 0.9 red zone targets a game, and he turned none of them into touchdowns. It's okay. That's a little bit better than you would hope for a guy coming off an injury. So I'm cool with Hockenson. Really no flaws that I would say that are that egregious. Yeah, kiss my third leg saying max all small consistent BBM. I think that's a move. I think if you're trying to get the most out of EV, I mean, you should trying to max drafters for just being a pure EV hound. Because I'll show you guys again, look at the Best Ball Explorer tool. I've only done drafts on stream so far this year. That may change during the back half of the season, but frankly, just trying to make bankroll go as much as I possibly can. You can see here some of my best CLV teams on drafters for real-time value, I guess, teams. This was nothing. I mean, this was an April draft, so I guess it was pretty early. Got Jayden Daniels value, Penix a little bit of value going the other way. Aaron Jones I took early, Jalen Warren early. Huge value on ATN, huge value on Swift, a huge value on Garendo, Justice Hill. Pretty good value on Drake London, Juwan Jennings, Emeka Egbuka. And this is with me losing a lot of CLV on guys like Wicks, Adonai Mitchell, Kyle Pitts. That's fallen a good amount. You'll get your best CLV on drafters, and I do think that's something that matters if you are being a pure EV hound. And obviously, I've talked about drafters enough. They are the presenting sponsor of the show. I've not advertised them well enough. Go to drafters.com, promo code SPLASH on there, gets you $100 deposit match. They also have some reload bonuses going on right now. I also asked for one for the show, though I haven't heard back from them yet about it. But check out Drafters. Again, they're a great partner for the show because they allow me to draft on every platform as opposed to only on their site. But for drafters, I finished well on there. That's the biggest thing to me. But seeing the CLV I've gotten on drafters being so much higher than BBM and me not drafting any different, same thing for DraftKings, I'd assume. I think you're going to get your best teams on drafters too. So that's my sense for looking at Best Ball Explorer, but we can look at it more in a moment. All right, Jonnu Smith falling here. No issue with that. We did just take the Atlanta stacks. Let's get Kyle Pitts instead. Jonnu Smith, I don't think the move for me here. Would like to get more Pat Bryant, but I think RB5 would be better here. Bigsby, I heard getting talked up a little bit on Pete's stream with Josh Norris yesterday. Not because they like Bigsby, because they don't like ATN. I think that's going to be a common refrain as people realize that Bigsby was actually pretty good last year. Avoided tackles at a good clip, got red zone work. He's probably a more ready back right now to take over a big workload than a guy like Bashal Tutin. So we'll get Bigsby here as the 5th RB. Would love to get a 6th wide receiver there too, but I think we needed RB more. So the team so far is a 2-5-5-2 with Jayden Daniels, Michael Penix. At RB, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scatterbu, Rashad White, and Tank Bigsby here. At wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman. And at tight end now, Hockenson and Pitts. Could add a 3rd on. Don't have to, though. RB, probably still want a 6th, but I don't think it's a must. So I'm cool with the team. Again, just balanced teams. It's not as sexy as it's been in previous years for me on stream, just spamming wide receiver over and over again. But I do think for how the board looks right now, building these teams, especially if you're picking the 12 hole, really the 9 hole, 10 hole, 11 hole, 12 hole, getting wide receiver, balancing that out with RBs in the early rounds, I think is a must. So that's my read on it. Zach Ertz goes, would have been a nice tight end 3 to get. But he would have had to fall a little bit. This guy took him early. So Zach Ertz, a great tight end click, I still think at this point. Let's go back to Best Ball Explorer. Check in the chat, see in real time if you guys want to post anything in there. But frankly, Best Ball Explorer, a tool you should use. I know there's other sites out there doing similar things. The Best Ball Overlay guys have another tool that uses data the same way. Here's another team I built, I guess, the first draft streams we did for drafters. This one, Jaden, Kyler, Gibbs, Pollard, Ramondre, Tyjae, took both Tennessee backs. Blake Corum, Yuck, Marshawn Lloyd. Great. Elijah Mitchell. Lost a lot of CLV at receiver, but then gained it with Tillman, Pierce, Hopkins. Yeah, it's not a special team by any stretch, but it does have good draft capital on it. Yeah, Best Ball Explorer is free. Again, I'll drop the link in chat. I guess it's now at thesolver.com/bestballexplorer. You can also search Best Ball Explorer in Google. You'll find it. But it's a free tool, as far as I know. All right, what else do we have here? Should keep an eye. A few picks before we come up. These are the drafters teams. Let's look at my special underdog teams, my quote-unquote special underdog teams. That's that Schnauzer BBM I did in mid-June. Oh, 4 QB, Justin Fields, Geno Smith, Cam Ward, Aaron Rodgers. Got a lot of CLV on Ward and Rodgers. Saquon, Bucky, Jalen Warren, Benson, Rico. I would draft that same team now. Might add one more RB on at this stage. DK Metcalf, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp. Good CLV on Rashid Shaheed. Not bad on Quentin Johnston. Bowers, okay CLV at pick 21. Chig at pick 196. I've really built I've really built steady teams this year. I think this is one thing for me that still teams that I think will perform well come the playoffs. I would be shocked if my advance rate weren't above average this year. If my advance rate's not above average and there wasn't like a catastrophic injury to somebody I've got a lot of exposure to, I'm going to be really confused is what I'll say this year. Tried to build to thread the needle as much as possible of advance rate plus upside for playoffs. And hopefully it shows in what you've seen on stream. And you'll continue to see now that we're doing more of these try draft alons. Going to be doing these 2 or 3 times a week now moving forward. So strap in. A lot more draft content coming up on the channel. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You guys know the deal. Make sure to check out Drafters too. I wouldn't be doing these streams if they were not presenting the sponsor of the show this year. So drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. You guys know the deal. $100 deposit match. All right. 2-5-5-2. I think a decent spot to add some more in at receiver. Frankly, third tight end as well would be in play here. Braylon Allen, also not a bad click. I'm going to go Braylon Allen for the first one. It's going to time out on him anyway. So that's the 6th RB. I think we'll wait to get the third tight end if we go that way until the last round. Nothing too exciting correlation-wise here. So I'm going to go with an old favorite of mine, Alec Pierce. Keenan Allen, I think a valid click as well. But Pierce, I think he's going to be found by Daniel Jones on deep balls enough this year. Some risk that Pierce gets lapped by A.D. Mitchell. There's another thing that I think Pete talked about in his stream yesterday. It's really my first non-me stream I listened to in a little bit, so it's all top of mind. But I think that for how I view it with Alec Pierce, he was so good last year in terms of what he did, his efficiency overall as a deep ball guy with a 0.4 EPA per target, 2 deep targets a game. 0.3 EPA there probably could be a little bit better, but AR had his flaws. I think that for him this year, the amount of volume he got downfield, unless A.D. Mitchell directly carves into it, I think Pierce still has pretty big upside. So a 2-6-6-2 build here with Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix. At RB, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scattaboo, Rashad White, Tank Bigsby, and Braylon Allen. I think taking Allen here is maybe the one question at this point. Not sure if RB6 was as valid as taking a wide receiver 7 or even a third tight end. But I think the room overall works. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, then the spike week upside, hopefully, for Alec Pierce. And then a tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Kyle Pitts. So we have room to take one more receiver, one more tight end. That'd be my ideal, I think, here. But guys, if you get any value of this video, or if you just are going to be here trying to draft with me on DraftKings and Drafters coming up, please show some love. Hit that like button, subscribe. It all goes a long way for me here, fighting off that YouTube algorithm, fighting off 1 million best ball streams going on at the same time at different times. Of course, I show up here and do the work as much as anybody in terms of the knowing things, knowing ball and all of that. next week as well. My fantasy football news briefs are going to be starting too. And it's not going to be the same as we did last year where I put them in the draft video. I'm actually going to be doing them as a separate 10-minute video. Max is going to be my goal every morning. So different piece of content to try to catch up with the fact that with millions of people streaming 3 to 4 hours every couple of days, I think putting out a piece of short form content or shortish form is still a good thing. So that's my goal to start doing that once training camp kicks off. And that should be next week, right? NFL training camp. Assume it's the 15th. July 22nd. Your Ravens, July 15th. Bills, July 15th. I think those are the earliest. No, Chargers, July 12th for rookies. Dolphins, July 15th for rookies. Yeah, so likely starting July 15th, July 16th will be when we start putting out these videos. So stay tuned for that. Probably the biggest value add that I can give you guys. Above the curve and knowing, well, all that I agree with. But, just in terms of like the draft stuff, there's a lot of people that do good drafts now. Like the Fantasy Flock, no, I think still not a great drafter, in my opinion, at least from seeing him drafted one team I did over the 4th of July holiday, where I guess he was like computer crashed. He took Bryce Young when he absolutely didn't need it, had Jalen Hurts and like Trevor Lawrence. I was like, fucking same old Flock. Besides him, though, there's a lot of good drafters out there. Jayden Sanders here gives us a little bit of oppo correlation for Kenneth Walker in week 17. And I like Sanders, think his ADP is going to come up when people realize he's a go-to tight end for Carolina, as much as one can be. Hopkins here, think this is not bad CLV on him. He and Bateman kind of pair well. Tutu Atwell would give us the week 17 stack. And I'll do that. I'll do the Tutu part. We've got Atlanta. Let's get a Ram bring back. That's Tutu Atwell. So the final team here, before we head over to DraftKings, we got Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix at QB, Devon Achane, Kenneth Walker, Cam Scatterbu, Rashad White, Tank Bigsby, Braylon Allen. So pretty full RB room here. Definitely a little bit less robust at RB than I've been lately, but that's why we took 6. Wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, Jordan Addison, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Alec Pierce, and then Tutu Atwell. So 2 spike week guys that closes out late, which I like more than the kind of projection guys. Like if I get Pop Douglas late, cool. If I get Keenan Allen late, I'm okay with that as well. But Pierce and Atwell, I think, is like a probably more viable approach. Just take a guy that'll sometimes get you 80 yards at a TD, maybe 2 in Pierce's case. And a tight end, Hockenson, Pitts, Jatavian Sanders. Could make the case to go with 2 with Hockenson and Pitts, 2 pretty locked-in starters. I think Sanders makes the room better. And I've gotten a lot. People this year love 3 QBs. I've been a lot more 3 tight end. I think 3 tight end just makes up for some of the warts, especially if you're not getting an elite guy like McBride, like Bowers, even like Kittle, like Laporta. Frankly, with Laporta, I think you'd still do 3 tight end builds. I do 3 tight ends a good amount. So that's one other observation that I've had so far. All right, over to DraftKings next, guys. And if you want to draft with me, you can do it because I'm not sneaking this one by you at all. Of course, DraftKings, you get your first entry. You put in your $20. Second entry you get is for free. So keep that in mind if you are playing on DraftKings this year. I'll also be doing another DraftKings draft on Stochastic later today. So you can come do that too. And they have a deal going right now where you get some crowns if you do 2 $3 drafts. So do that if you want. 4 spots left on DraftKings. So come play with me on there. It'll start momentarily. Let's go back to Best Ball Explorer. So you can see here some of my top CLV teams. The Hound Dog. I don't even know what this tournament structure is, but it's $6. So we got another cheap tournament where I got pretty good CLV. Got Fields at 115. Jacobs at value. Caleb Johnson value. Scatterbu took a little bit earlier. Rashad White, CLV. Rico Dowdle, pretty good CLV. Only late guys I reached for, I guess, that didn't work out as well. Just to tie it all together with the cheaper slow tournaments or cheaper like 20 max, 5 max kind of tournaments. Enter those if you can. Frankly, even if you don't want to play BBM, trying to get your Hound Dogs, your Corgis, your Schnauzers, you can see how much better teams I'm building here. And as you guys know, it's not me drafting any differently. It's just same old shit. Where are we at DraftKings? Still 1 spot left on DraftKings if you want to get in here. Filled. There we go. Oh, do I have the solver tool on here? That's what's going on. I did not update the solver tool. Update a setting. Okay. Let's wait. Stacking importance slightly. There we go. Okay. All right. Tweaked one setting. And now the solver tool is gone. I don't know what's going on with that. I have the solver's draft system installed here, but it never pops up on screen. Guy into 2 holes just can't stay away from the streams. No matter how much I don't like him, he can't stay away from my content. Unbelievable. But we got DX Filer here, who I believe is Gamblesty in the 2-hole. Dak Prescott is the 6th oldest QB in the league. That's surprising. Like 6th oldest starter or 6th oldest QB out of everybody? Fucking insane I have to draft next to this dipshit in the 2-hole too. But either way, this is DraftKings. Of course, a big difference on here. 30-second clock. A lot more time being wasted doing a DraftKings draft. But you do get more bonuses, more deals as well. If you max out the tournament, you get $300 as well. So keep that in mind here. Lots of little perks for maxing out on DraftKings and drafters as well. For Underdog, they go, hey, go fuck yourself. Thanks for the money is what they'll tell you on there. For DraftKings, for drafters, you get special bonuses here, cash back for the people that are maxing out both these tournaments. So keep that in mind here if you are trying to put your 150 in. Then we got Braden here in the 5-hole, Brad Black and Gold. All right. Sure. And we got Michael Jordan himself in the 10-hole. The disrespect, but Michael Jordan in the 10-hole. That's what they'll do. The shot at taking Chase, I am sure that he will not get past the dipshit in the 2-hole. The obsessive dipshit in the 2-hole. But hey, it is what it is. Bijan going 101 here. Okay. I need to get more Bijan than Saquon at some point. There Chase goes. I mean, I'll just take Saquon. I really don't. I think people are bored of taking Saquon top 3. It feels like they're now reaching for Bijan. I think maybe some people buying into the fact that Bijan, I believe, down the stretch of last season had like average 20 PPR points per game or something. I know I've seen that floating around Twitter a good amount. Still think fundamentally, if you're trying to capture the biggest upside at RB this year, it's still Saquon. And I know that's like people go like, oh, well, you didn't like him last year. I didn't like him last year relative to the receivers you could take in that range. And it's what I would do construction-wise last year. But in reality, you put up 2,000 yards, and frankly, there's a case to be made. He's probably due more positive touchdown regression, even if I think the explosive plays should diminish a little bit more this year. But a great offensive line that created more yards for contact than any other team in football. I like Bijan. I think Bijan still having a ceiling that we haven't seen yet is definitely a possibility. But this is also Michael Penix, who is like a gunslinger, and I think that loses some touchdown equity for him compared to Saquon, where that team, if they're getting inside the 5-yard line, they want to pound it in. They really don't even want to throw it to A.J. Brown if they can avoid it. They either want to tush push it with Jalen Hurts. Maybe they get creative, run him on bootlegs a little bit more. But it's still going to be Saquon and Jalen Hurts getting most of those touchdowns, much like it's going to be Lamar and Derrick Henry getting touchdowns for the Ravens whenever that's inside the 5-yard line. You get an occasional one flowing DeAndre Hopkins' way, probably. I don't know. And it's not to say that, again, anything about DX Filer, because he's not the only one doing it. But like, I just don't think Saquon should be going behind Bijan. He's now like behind, I believe, in ADP and BBM. I don't think that's correct. I'm sick of Saquon, sick of Philadelphia. But he's still the CMC from last year. He's still the 101. Strongly believe that. At least in terms of RBs. Chase and him, they can both go 101. I wouldn't be mad about it. Bijan passing Justin Jefferson, I could live with that. I think that's a reasonable take to have. If people have any aversion to JJ McCarthy at all, or just concern for that, he might be not the highest ceiling guy. He wasn't a high ceiling passer at Michigan. I would hope that Kevin O'Connell gets the best out of him. He was efficient. He was accurate, stuff that I look for. Good EPA thrower. But, wasn't dropping back 30 times a game. He was dropping back less than 20. We haven't seen what McCarthy can really do as like a high upside player. So if you want to have that be the reason, like, I think it should be Chase 101, Saquon 102, Bijan 103, Jefferson 104. All right, Bowers goes pick 20. Saquon Bucky start gives us the 2 week 9 buys. Rashee Rice, I'm trying to get more of here. Do love that Saquon Bucky start, though. But I'll go Rashee Rice here. Think he's a better PPR click overall. Patrick Mahomes has been talking about the offense being more of a deep wide receiver room than he's ever had in KC. I still do believe that's a big part of why I'm not as crazy about Rashee Rice. Think that he commanded a ton of targets last year that won't be the same way this year, let alone with like just Hollywood Brown being back in, Worthy being improved, Hollywood Brown being back in, Kelsey being, maybe forcing the offense more. But it's still got to take Rashee Rice sometimes. So we get him second RB here. I mean, Jayden's not going to come back. Really don't care too much about getting Josh Jacobs. I'm just going to take Josh Allen here. Get Philadelphia, Buffalo, Allen, and Saquon, which is a nice Week 17 correlation. If you haven't memorized your Week 17 schedule yet, how dare you? But really, Chase Brown, Josh Jacobs, I'm not excited to click those guys. So with Bucky gone, with receiver being mostly bled out there, we'll go Josh Allen. So Josh Allen, Saquon, Rashee Rice here, and I'm cool with it. Got Saquon in the 5 hole today. Again, people are just bored of taking him where he goes, which is fine. I think if you're still picking in that 3 spot, I would still take Saquon, but that's me. Saquon playoff schedule is very nice. That's true. Look, Philadelphia, obviously Saquon disappointed in the Super Bowl. I still think besides that, like I would take Philadelphia with what they did last year. Again, getting that push, getting the yards for contact. Like what they provided him, I would take that against any matchup in football. Like I really wouldn't care that much. And especially to try to project that this time of year. But Philadelphia, Buffalo, the main thing that should stand out if you are trying to think about your Week 17 game stacks, that's a tough one to hit because you have to use all that draft capital early on to pull it off. Philadelphia, Buffalo, that game should easily put up 60 points. Like I'm sure the Vegas total is more like 53, 54. I don't know what it's at right now. But I assume it would be more in that range. But in reality, like that's going to be a pretty high scoring game, even if both defenses are good, because the offensive both side of the ball should also be pretty good. The Buffalo is one of the teams in Pat Thorman's article that I mentioned earlier. Definitely a low-pace team last year that should probably be low-pace again. We'll see. I think that Philadelphia-Buffalo game, like one of the hardest ones to access in terms of draft capital as opposed to like an Atlanta Rams. But if you're trying to project one game is going to have like 60 real-life points, I would say Philadelphia-Buffalo. That and Detroit, Minnesota have to be like 1A, 1B. Think that Gibbs is potentially more upside than all the... Nah. You still have David Montgomery there. And I like Gibbs. Like Gibbs was great last year with Montgomery there. I'll take Gibbs when he goes. I would prefer Gibbs over McCaffrey, which I don't think is a shocker based on ADPs and all that. But like he doesn't control an entire backfield. Like Saquon's not going to lose work. In my opinion, I don't think there's any way he loses meaningful work to Will Shipley. Will Shipley is like a nobody. People thought was CMC because he got fed a ton of volume at Clemson. Reality is just a white guy with really not an impressive back, in my opinion. He'll absorb some of the Gainwell stuff, but I don't think he gets real work. AJ Dillon's in good shape. Maybe he does something, but I don't think he takes work away from Saquon. Whereas Gibbs, like he's going to lose 2 red zone opportunities a game to Montgomery. Like, that matters, even if he's taken a lot more than you would have thought for a guy who's not a power back. And I like Gibbs, but to me, he's an easy tier break behind Saquon and Bijan. But we'll see. I'm not low on Gibbs, so I don't really, won't hurt me. I'm adding Gibbs. I should refresh this page. We've got a pick coming up here, though. I'll get to the bottom of my RB exposures in a moment. MD Murphy thinking about it. What do we have on the board here? I mean, obviously not going to be in the hunt for Jalen Hurts or Joe Burrow. So I'll take him. I'll take him out of spite if this guy thinks he could get the better players. I would see one player here that I would like a good amount up top, but I can live with others. All right, I really wanted JMO there. Unfortunately, not going to get that. Maybe we'll get more Philadelphia, Buffalo. Devontae Smith, I'll build out this Week 17 correlation that I just don't build that often naturally. Kamara here, I think a viable wide receiver to hit, or RB to hit, if not taking wide receiver. I think I'm cool with whatever we get kicked back. I think Barkley gets you there 15 and 16 and someone else takes you home. It's hard to slice it up that much, but again, in a game versus Buffalo, it could be tough to get touchdowns, even if the ball's moving freely. That could easily be a Saquon 2-touchdown game. Like, I don't I just wouldn't worry about that much. I know it's your game, Terrence. I respect it about you. Again, appreciate you more than ever with how many annoying people that bother me more than you have historically. But I think trying to pick out like who's going to get you 15 and 16, who's going to get your 17. The important thing is that Saquon gets like crazy good work, and he'll get it no matter what matchups you're going to get in the playoffs. Hampton here, not for me. Chuba here, definitely not for me. Zay Flowers. Just take Jalen Hurts and see how I dig out of it. That could be kind of fun. But I won't do it. I'm going to go Zay Flowers. Pickens, it's interesting that Pickens is behind Zay Flowers on the PPR site. I guess that makes sense. Pickens has fallen a lot in BBMs, though. I got Pickens at like 58 recently in a BBM. He might just be coming down, which I guess is fair. People like CeeDee Lamb a lot. I think Pickens hurts CeeDee Lamb a lot more than CeeDee Lamb hurts Pickens, to be honest, but we'll see how that goes. Team so far, only one RB with Saquon Barkley. That's how fucking broken brain I am. That we only have one running back. It's only the poor Saquon Barkley who's going to carry the load for us. We got Josh Allen, though, for that Week 17 correlation. Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers. Obviously, the Buffalo stack. We'd like to get some of those pieces later on to add at the receiver room. If James Cook had come up, I would have considered him as well. But where did he go? James Cook went at 40. Okay, so this room actually liked James Cook enough. But I think we could have gone RB there too if we wanted. Wouldn't have been crazy. All right, let's stick with the draft board here. I think Al Boogie correct. Philly not going to change their offensive approach, especially if they just won the Super Bowl. I would agree. And two, again, they promoted from within for offensive coordinator, which tends to be, they'll take the best of what Kellen Moore did, maybe make it more conservative because Kellen Moore does, push the pace a little bit. So maybe you get that more of a slogging offense, I guess, but they still have the ability to have explosive plays out of nowhere. So even if they cut the pace a little bit, probably not going to hurt the offensive output too much. I feel like he's going to at least double the catches Saquon will get from tush pushes. And the idea Monty gives up a little bit more to Gibbs here. I think it's a fun bet. But are you taking Gibbs over Saquon? I don't know. I just don't think that's how you play best ball, to be honest. Like, if you're going here and your only option is Gibbs, take Gibbs. Great. If you're going here and you have the option of Saquon, Bijan, or Gibbs, take some Saquon, take some Bijan, take some Gibbs. But I don't know. Like, I think you just want exposure to the guys that have the highest ceiling here. Because look, like in terms of a total season, like maybe Gibbs outperforms Saquon. But if you're going to Week 17 and you have Gibbs versus Minnesota or Saquon versus Buffalo, the projections are going to look pretty similar, in terms of like your weekly DFS projection you'd get from a stochastic or an ETR or whatever. The upside would be very similar as well in terms of these guys having the potential for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. So like, why wait one more than the other? Like, you want to have a shot at both those guys to get there and to be your guy in the end who carries you through, to put up that Alvin Kamara game from a couple of years ago that won Justin Herzig the first BBM. I just don't think you should have like that big of a lean personally. But, that's it. Do you agree Ty Johnson around 19 or 20 on Josh Allen teams is kind of fun? Frankly, he could be your RB7 in a 20-round draft more if you have kind of a shittier RB room. But Ty Johnson, like, he spiked. We've looked at his numbers before. He spiked, 3 times, I think, for 14 or more fantasy points at PPR. Like, that's pretty decent upside. And if James Cook, the contract stuff, if he pulls T. Higgins and maybe sits on the sidelines a little bit more because he doesn't have that big money, you could just see Ray Davis and Ty Johnson get there as a split backfield. So I agree. I brought in a peanut gallery to heckle you. There you go. I mean, they'll always find a way to heckle somebody. That's how it goes. Taking players that score points is Adam's strategy in a draft. I guess that's Gamblestein's strategy in a draft. Yeah, that's a crazy one. Travis Hunter at 68. I know people are down on him. That's too cheap. I think his true price should be like mid-50s or something, but all right, we're getting Kenneth Walker at 70 because he's got a Q tag on him in July. Yeah, I'll take Kenneth Walker at 70, guys. Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate the room being kind to me for once. What is it? What fucking DraftKings, man. Like, this is fucking insane. Like, Kenneth Walker shouldn't go 16 spots after ADP because he has a questionable tag in July. That is one of the simplest rules of best ball to follow pretty easily, and yet DraftKings will do it time and time again. I don't get that. The guys who need a receiver there, I get why you'd pass up Kenneth Walker. There's enough people here that had good enough teams to absorb Kenneth Walker at this point. But again, happy to get him. Happy to get him. All right, so we have a 1-2-3-0 here. If Juwan Jennings had come back, it would have been tempting for me to pass to just grab him, I think, and pass on whatever else we could take here. Dipshit in the 2-hole takes Khalil Shakir for no fucking reason, which is fine because I could just take the other Buffalo receivers, but hate this fucking guy so much. He doesn't grasp that. Not really a lot of exciting, but I'll go Addison again. Right at ADP, basically, but that's that. It's so dumb. Like, Shakir, I have to say, like, and again, the guy in the 2-hole's not like a smart guy. Like, he's ugly. He's not successful in life. I'm just gonna be mean to him again, so in the hopes that he will go away and just not like get off and being all in all my drafts. But like for Khalil Shakir, he's really not a good click if you don't have Josh Allen. Like, and I think Shakir is pretty talented, but like I'd rather have all the guys in this range. Obviously, he didn't have access to Jennings, but Addison's got more upside. He's probably in an offense that's going to be passing more willingly downfield, and he's just a different kind of player than Shakir. Shakir is like an okay PPR click if you have Josh Allen, but he's also like, he's not a better click really than Josh Palmer by a wide margin. Again, I would have taken Shakir if he came back to me, but like I would have loved to have taken Jennings over Shakir. Probably would have been a tough call for Addison over Shakir. So to take him in like some weird spite thing is like just stupid, but he's a stupid guy in the 2-hole. He doesn't get off in the defamation. It's just like crazy to like still do it after 3 years, but whatever. Let's give the team a read here. Just like people make me so uncomfortable, man. We got Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker here, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. So started with the early RB with Saquon Barkley, tried to dig out a little bit with these receivers, which honestly got a decent ADP value on overall, I guess. Tight end, perfectly okay punting it, but certainly I think we could have tried to get a tight end in this range and not felt bad about it. But it didn't happen that way. Shakir only good for Josh Allen teams for week 17 Philly Buffalo stack. Again, he's like not a bad click. Like I think in PPR, he'll give you the occasional 15, 18 point games, but it's just like, it's not, there's better bets to make as an individual bet. Like I really feel strongly about that, but I just don't, the guy on the 2-hole is just not that smart. It's like just what it comes down to. I mean, I keep saying, he's like, you watch the show, like it's just like, you're objectively not a smart guy. Took Burrow at 47 too, like just not smart guy moves over and over. That's fine. As a fellow troll, I respect commitment to the bit. I don't know. Like, at what point do you just recognize like you could do a million things with your life? Like I feel that way, and I'm the one doing the content. You know, that's fine. 20% first read target Shakir seems like a good click at that ADP. You're still adding in, like, you're adding in Josh Palmer, which is a big change. You're adding Elijah Moore, who absolutely got the Jameis boost in Cleveland, but like, he got the Jameis boost in Cleveland and he was actually pretty good with it. So now he's getting a similar boost. It's just too many guys that are like similar players. Like that's the biggest issue for Shakir. He got decent money in the off seasons. That's your big hope, is that he got paid. Guys who get paid get more opportunity. It's just a natural flow of things. But like Palmer got okay money. Elijah Moore didn't. Kincaid needs to get more work if they're going to salvage him as a player is an important part of the offense. Like I just think, you know, again, Shakir is not a great click if you don't have Josh Allen, but that's what it is. Can't stop people from doing dumb shit. Hysterically still at it? I don't know. I don't think it's the best fit. Again, things that make me uncomfortable and that make the chances of me streaming year to year go lower, I would say we should root against, but you know. I think Gabe Davis is correct. And he's like, and he also like, he loses money going against me. Like, absolutely. Like it happened last year too. And I didn't even advance that well last year. Mooney, Egbuka, Warren. Again, Mooney, a pretty good tier break, but we don't need to take him here. I do think Warren is a pretty decent tier break at RB as well. I'll go Jaylen Warren. So our third RB in here, Barkley, Walker, Warren. Top 4 receivers are Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison. Would like to get a decent wide receiver 5 in. And in my opinion, that would be not like a Higgins. The Higgins tier, I guess, a Trey Harris, I'd put in that tier as well. Keon Coleman obviously would correlate, but I think Mooney, Egbuka, better clicks than him potentially. All right, so Mooney's here. Keon Coleman's probably not coming all the way back. If only he had a Q tag on him. All right, do we reach for Coleman or take Mooney as a discount? I like Mooney more as a player. And that's what I'm going to do. I think we've got good enough parts of Philadelphia, Buffalo, like Josh Allen, Saquon, got one bet in the pass game with Devontae Smith. Could take Dallas Goedert later, maybe. I just think Mooney is a better click than a Buffalo guy. It's too easy when you have Josh Allen to just soak up, like mindlessly, soak up Shakir, soak up Coleman, soak up one of Palmer, Kincaid. I don't think you want to do that every time for Buffalo because, like, it occurs too easily for everybody. So, Weirdo in the 2-hole, making me do some different things. He's also game stacked in the same Week 17 game. Just also bad, not plus EV. Oh, well. I agree with that. Josh Allen is the Buffalo stack. I think, in terms of going into a Week 17, you're going to have a higher chance of Shakir hitting than Josh Palmer. You're going to have a higher chance of Josh Palmer hitting than Elijah Moore. I don't think it's, like, massively higher, though. Like, I think Shakir probably has, like, 15% chance hitting your Allen stack. Palmer's got, like, a 10%. Kincaid a 10%. Something like that. I don't think the math would math. But the team so far is looking okay. This spot, I feel like a pretty boring spot on the board. Everybody flocking for QB. I think for me to think about QB here a little bit more. Obviously, we open ourselves up for Penix at this point. We're not going to be able to get Mahomes, not going to be able to get Lamar. Saying obvious things here, but just try to think ahead. We are now open to getting a guy like McCarthy with the Minnesota correlation for Addison. And Penix, very easy click for me to make as well with Josh Allen. So we'll see what we get back. Hey, shouts to all you guys watching live here, especially when you're not a weirdo draft stalker in particular. Hit that like button, subscribe, do the deal here. Make sure to play on Drafters as well. Promo code SPLASH on there. $100 deposit match at drafters.com or when you download the Drafters app. And of course, they're presenting the show, allowing me to draft in different platforms like Underdog, like DraftKings, to show you guys what you're getting across the world of best ball. But in reality, your EV will probably carry you the most on Drafters just because there's less people playing on there. And frankly, there's just a lot of fucking buffoons on there too. So check it out. It's like, what should the marketing pitch for best ball be? You want to draft on a site full of idiots? Probably. Will you enjoy it? Probably not. That's a trade-off. The last time we did a Drafters draft on stream, there was a guy who built like a really objectively awful team and then started calling everybody Gen Z cucks because the chat was pointing out what an awful team he built out. So that's what you get on Drafters. You get weird boomers. But it's total points, full point PPR. So similar to DraftKings, but total points format. We'll be hitting that one next. And I will have another DraftKings stream coming up at 3 p.m. So a guy in the 2-hole, don't be on it, though he will be. Just loves the taste of my ass and fucking everything. You only said that because you are, in fact, Gen Z cucks. Yeah, that's Gen Z doesn't know how to draft. Is that the new stereotype? Millennials got avocado toast. Man, JJ McCarthy at pick 116 and ADP on DraftKings. Why do they like McCarthy so much more? Again, and I like McCarthy as a player. I don't get McCarthy being 14 spots higher on DraftKings than Underdog, besides just knowing that DraftKings players are generally not as sharp. Keon Coleman came all the way back around, so now they're trying to tempt me with a good time. I mean, I really don't need him here. But nobody else in the spot I need to take either. So Keon Coleman, wide receiver 6, come on down. He's free. Okay, we'll take him. But was thinking taking McCarthy there plus an RB would also be a good pick. Really no other receivers I would have taken over Keon Coleman at this point in this range. Oh, McCarthy's up to 122? I didn't realize that. I don't know why. Like, did people not think he was going to start? Was that somehow priced into the ADP? Kind of baffling to me. If Underdog had chat, shit would get rough. I'm mostly out of chats at this point. I'm actually officially off of Overwatch chat because I got banned for a month. I think I'm just going to keep it. I just don't I don't need to chat with these people. I get you want to yell at them sometimes, but like I can yell at them through the screen. So, yeah, I got that for me. All right, we got McCarthy here. I think he's not a bad click. Really would like to add somebody at RB of note, but the choices here are not the most exciting. So we'll go McCarthy. Like Javonte Williams at ADP, that's an okay click. Yeah, we need the 4th RB, but that is what it is. Team so far, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley. There'll be better range at RBs, I think, coming up here on DraftKings. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Jalen Warren, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman, and JJ McCarthy here. Coming up and getting Kincaid would have not been a crazy thing to do either, but sometimes Kincaid falls in rooms. And again, the Bills part of it, like if I didn't get Shakir, I don't need to add the entire Bill stack in. So take the guys if they're at an appropriate ADP. If they're not, I'm going to let them go by. That's how we're feeling about it right now. QB run for sure here. Everybody panicking to get their QB2s, sometimes QB3s. All the QBs getting pushed up on Underdog these days. Well, that was what I really thought was crazy about the flock room I was in. They took guys like 12 spots ahead of ADP in that room. And, granted, look, I think if we're going to rate the sharpness of draft rooms, I think in general, I would put our this community, and when you guys are filling up a room, generally, I would say they're sharp end. Pete's rooms are like too sharp where they allow any RB to fall like 15 spots. Like they're sharp, like drafting from 2 years ago sharp. Because I was watching that stream yesterday with Pete, and it's like, he got like fucking like some RB of note, like 12 spots after ADP within the first 4 rounds. Like, what the fuck is going on here? So, like, that's, I guess, sharpness beyond where it's so sharp that you're almost dumb, I think is what his rooms are. But I would say the flock room is like, that was like anti-sharp, where it's like the reaching really early for QB, way too much RB capital. Like, and I say that more as somebody that's taking RB earlier and more frequently than ever. I would say that his community has to be one of the least sharp ones. A lot of those guys drafting at night too, I think, do have a lot of sharp draft rooms, like emo cowboy rooms. I think those tend to be sharp. So I'm grading streamer rooms. Flock lowest. Probably like the pound rooms, I would say, towards the higher end as well. That's my rating. Sharpness of my rooms get dragged down by the guy in the 2-hole. Yeah, a lot of QBs. This guy took 3 QBs. Are they correlated? Stafford correlated. Hey, Dark Sabbath here, actually stacking players up. What a treat to see on DraftKings. Got banned from the Rockstar game chat on the regular. It's hard to not call people bad names, especially when you know they're going to bleep it out anyway, But it's also like, I don't know. People are bad at these games too. That's how I feel about the chats. But I just don't I don't really want to see other people talking. So that's mostly how I feel about it. Unless I'm having a few beers and then it's like, let's see what these fuckers were saying. And I want to yell at them back and make them feel bad. That's where they get me. All right. I mean, we absolutely don't need a 3 QB room when we have Josh Allen. But it would be tempting to take Michael Penix if he's available. I think we need RB more, though. Oh, this guy takes the whole clock every fucking time. All right, he times out on Penix. Great job. Ray Davis here will give us a Buffalo correlation without being a receiver one. And frankly, I think correlating Josh Allen with an RB probably as credible as receivers. So Ray Davis here is our fourth RB in, trying to make up some capital at RB because I feel a little bit thin there, even with Saquon heading up the pack. I do think this is a good RB pocket. You need to start thinking about tight end as well. Call of Duty pros chat. Well, that's the thing I've noticed too, in particular with Overwatch. The higher ranked you get up, like the more toxic the chat gets. Even if you're playing the game correctly and like carrying a team, people will just be like incredibly obnoxious and shitty about it. Or you know what? I think that Isaiah Likely is enough of a value here. I'm going to grab him. First tight end off the board, Isaiah Likely. 20-round draft, probably a 4 tight end room here. We're going to go Isaiah Likely. But yeah, I like anytime you play with people that are higher ranked, they take it way too seriously, and it's like the majority of their life. And I say that too, where it's like I've gotten to pretty decent rankings in some games out there. I just don't enjoy that. Like I want people, I've said it before when I like, even for these drafts, like the people playing in a game with me, like you're just all AI as far as I'm concerned. Like I don't care. Like I don't care about really somebody else's enjoyment of the game. I want to win. I want my character to do well relatively, or me to do well in a draft relatively. For the most part, I don't really give a shit about other people's experience in the room. I don't want to like ruin it for them. But if I'm playing the game to win and playing it well, that's all you can do. People don't like that though. They want you to play exactly how they envision it. That's enough video game dork talk. We'll be doing a drafters draft coming up next, the last stage of our journey, guys. So get in there now if you want to try to be a part of that room. And the big news or the big thing on drafters is going to be that you don't have to compete against people in the pod. So like really, if you are one of those people that goes into every stream drafters room, it's really not the sharpest thing to do. Because of the fact you're competing against people that are actually theoretically good at what they're doing, and you decrease your EV by doing that. On drafters, though, you see yourself in that room with those people for the draft. You don't see them again because it's total points format. So that's coming up next. Drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Use that for yourself if you want to get in and draft with me coming up. Consensually, as opposed to the assault-based version of it that happens in these rooms. Tootin slipped a lot this draft. Almost took him over Garendo. Frankly, this is where he should be priced. I'm not a Tootin believer. I will continue to die on that hill. I agree with all the takes that ATN was dog shit last year. Like, there's no metric I have that shows him being good, really, besides just getting volume. But he still does the most things. He still theoretically could be in there and pass pro and be trusted, whereas Bigsby probably cannot be. And he shouldn't be because he's been awful every time that they try to throw him the ball. For Tootin, I really doubt he gets that work early on, given the fact, probably reading too far into it, but a guy who fumbles a lot, tend to think that doesn't go hand in hand well with being a really well-prepared, diligent pass blocker. And Tootin also gets stuff in the run as much as anybody got drafted. So like, I don't know. That doesn't to me seem like the combo to be a guy who's going to take over a pass catching role. So I'd rather have ATN. I'd rather have Bigsby. Like I will never be on the Tootin thing unless he goes like in the 170s. Then I'll take Tootin more. That's it. Tank would fill that role over Tootin. I agree. Like Tank is again an awful pass catcher. His rookie year was like some of the worst stats possible. Last year, still a negative 0.5 EPA per target, which is like really bad. 11% target per out run. Like he's not useful at all. But he could at least be like a Rashad White level blocker out there. So I agree with that too. I just think the Tootin thing is like, and we'll see, like maybe he ends up hitting in a major way and I end up looking like an asshole. But I do think that he's the embodiment of the over enthusiasm for this rookie class for guys that were not, the top 2, top 3. If you want to go top 4, 5 guys and lump in, your Caleb Johnson tier, your Quinshon Judkins tier, I could live with that. But Tootin is like a dude who's got positives and a dude who's got some serious flaws. And that's not a guy that should have ever been priced in like the 110s, 120s, like he was going for a while. But I've thought that entire time. So if he goes here, if he goes around Jalen Wright, that's a shot you could take. But I don't think you should go ahead of Bigsby. All right. 2-4-6-1 here. Again, need to get more viable tight ends in. This doesn't have to be the spot to do that, though. This guy takes the entire 30-second clock every pick. Like, without fail. Like, you never click it early. You're just timing out every single time. Kyle Pitts. No, okay, there we go. So he's got rankings he's drafting off of. He doesn't seem to be clicking them with any urgency. I'll take Kyle Pitts here. Again, adding more into the tight end room is really the main goal at this point for me. RB room with Saquon, Walker, Warren, Ray Davis. Needs a couple more. I'm trying to time this out well enough. Oh, man. All right. Really feel the 30-second clocks on DraftKings. Like, the 20-second clocks on BBM, perfect. I know I say this every stream, but when you do them back-to-back, it's like a weight crushing you. Just a wait for people to make their shitty picks. All right, 2-4-6-2. RB definitely getting thin. Rico Dowdle, Braylon Allen, who's got the better role? Josh Palmer, if we want to go more Buffalo stuff. I think we need the RB. Ugh. I'm gonna go Rico. That's really close to me. Like, Rico Dowdle getting paid not great money, but not so much less than Chuba Hubbard, who got a new contract, but it's not really a special contract in any way. I think Dowdle has utility. He played well enough last year for Dallas. I also think that Braylon Allen has a pretty good shot of getting himself 5 to 10 touches a game behind Breece Hall. And frankly, if he really plays well, being a guy that could unseat Breece Hall, because this is a team that, even though they gave Breece Hall seemingly enough for him to, feel good about things, to view himself as a back that's going to be leading the backfield, they did almost trade him, and they did put the fear of God in him that he was going to be off the team. I think that's something where Braylon Allen's more live for a split role than people realize. So he would have been an okay click too. But I think really Algier here, I would say a significant cut above Rico, Bigsby, and certainly Braylon Allen. Like, Algier's going to be in that game whenever Atlanta doesn't have to be deceptive about the pass game at all. And also think that for Algier, like, again, he's got work normally, but he also has contingent value to one of the best roles in football. Like, Rico Dowdle, if he takes over Chuba Hubbard's role, fine. Bigsby takes over ATN's role, maybe good, maybe not amazing. For Algier, you're getting access to one of the best situations in football for a guy that also like carried teams when he was a rookie, when he was actually a semi bell cow back. So I think Algier would be a much better click here than these guys. Maybe I should have pushed Pitts and taken Algier. Oh well. Let's talk about you, Braden. It's the other guy. MD Murphy takes 30 seconds every time. That's his right. I just wish you were 20 seconds every time. That'd be my dream. Well, let's pretend I didn't say that when I have to do a stream on Stochastic, another DraftKings draft at 3 p.m. It's going to be a busy week, busy 7 weeks of drafts coming up here from me in general on this channel and also on Stochastic. So stay tuned here. And hopefully those rooms will go faster on Stochastic. This room is fucking sucking the air out of me. Like, everyone's dragging ass. Coincidentally, besides the guy I hate in the 2-hole. You have the team read here. We got our 2 QBs, Josh Allen and JJ McCarthy. We got Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker as our RB start. Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers. Tight end Isaiah Likely. At flex, we got Jordan Addison, Jalen Warren, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman. So our one Buffalo stack partner here who is actually a pass catcher. McCarthy, Ray Davis, Kyle Pitts, Rico Dowdle. Yeah, I think this team could have been slightly better. But got a couple okay values. The Walker value is really the most noteworthy part. But it's weird. Like, I don't get why Walker was such a great value getting him in pick 70. Really been nothing else that's been like a good value that falls back to anybody here. Juwan Jennings, an okay one, I guess. That's really about it. I think you want to be doing these late night DraftKings drafts. Late night / when they're giving out free drafts on DraftKings. Probably your time to get the most EV. Shout out to all you guys hanging out here. Appreciate you guys watching live again. I feel the slog on DraftKings sometimes, and it fucking wears me out. But the good news is I'll be drafting even more of these on stream. So stay tuned for more coming up throughout the weeks and later today. Come on, just fucking make a pick. Make one pick ahead of 30 seconds, MD Murphy. Please. Oh, there's no way you have to think this much about whatever shitty player you're going to get in this range. Click any of them. It's all going to be the same dog shit anyway. Whole clock. Motherfucker. To pick just the top guy at the top of the queue. Like, fuck off, man. Some of us want to get these streams tightened up. All right, another RB here. Marshawn Lloyd, getting the tail end of a bailout back. Will Shipley here, not with Saquon. I think wouldn't be the move. Marshawn Lloyd, come on down. See what these guys do around the bend. I think a few players here somewhat underpriced. One of which I'll highlight after we get through these picks. Shout out Fact. Appreciate Fact being here as I lose momentum from the DraftKings draft slowing to a crawl. Ty Johnson does go nice with Josh Allen teams. I probably wouldn't take him in around 17, but I think he can work. But I agree that wouldn't be a bad click. Elijah Moore in a 20-round draft again. I think I'm happy to do that. Especially now that we didn't get Josh Palmer or Shakir. I think Elijah Moore becomes a lot more valuable in that kind of build. If not valuable, viable. Javian Sanders. That's a nice click. All right. So Diami Brown coming up on every site besides DraftKings for some reason. Diami Brown, if the role is what they're hyping it up to be, and there was a Pro Football Focus article that came out in the last couple of days that I dropped in Discord yesterday, because like I've been all over Diami Brown for basically the moment that they signed him. Thought he was a good click. Thought that they were paying him a good amount of money, with giving him almost $10 million for a 1-year deal. Kind of a show it and prove it, but like you're paying him pretty good money, almost that Mooney tier. For Diami Brown, they're talking him up like he's going to be involved a lot. Like they want to get him different route types than he's ever had in his career. I think Diami Brown should probably be going like, I don't know, I feel like the Leggett area is probably a little bit too high, but he should be probably 160s or so. And he's coming up a little bit on Underdog. On Drafters, I'm not sure where he is, but I think Diami Brown's too cheap. So I'll just highlight him as like a late click right now that I think will not be quite as late once we get to training camp and just like there's more news about him. But we have a 2-6-7-2 build right now. Still would like to add a few more tight ends on. But we'll see what we get coming back. The team, Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley. So our Philadelphia-Buffalo correlation, that's a big part of it. Kenneth Walker, Rashee Rice, Devontae Smith, Zay Flowers, Isaiah Likely, Jordan Addison, Jalen Warren, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman, J.J. McCarthy, Ray Davis, Kyle Pitts, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd, and Diami Brown. Really some late kind of common bailout the room clicks for me with Rico and Lloyd. But I do like those guys a good amount here. And Ray Davis correlates the Buffalo stuff, so team works. Decision was Diami or Jatavian there. Needed another tight end. Yeah, that's fair. I think they're both clicks that are probably to come up a little bit more. Jatavian's a guy that I would say legitimately flashed last year for Carolina. I think he's not a bad click at all. All right, naked third QB. Yeah, sure. If that makes you happy, more power to you. Who's your other QBs, Gamblestein? Yeah, Nick Bryce Young. Yeah, I guess you could do that. I take Tyler Shuck a decent amount. I do think he's one of those players where it wouldn't shock me if he didn't have a real upside this year. Like I buy into him because of Kellen Moore, and I know we talk about that a lot on stream, but for people that haven't watched, I know people are joining because this summer drafting season more. Um, I think for Shuck, like he just didn't impress me at all at Louisville. I think the numbers grade out really poorly. And I think he's like, he needs to be kind of a luxury QB3. I would say for Daniel Jones, at least you're going to get a player that's going to start half the year, especially if you have early buys. I think he's better. The Shuck, I kind of took at one stretch, was taking him a lot as like my third QB in rooms where like Cam Ward was my QB2, or, you know, that kind of type, if not exactly him. New Orleans is really making it sound like anybody could win that job. I don't know that I'd buy it. And I also don't like New Orleans could just be dog shit. Like I feel like my Kellen Moore priors, I take some Olave these days. And like, I really been trying to think about New Orleans, like what it's going to actually look like. And the QB play there is really not exciting to me. I wish they took Jackson Dart. If they had taken Jackson Dart, I would take New Orleans in like every fucking draft. Instead, they took Shuck, and he might just be a worse version of Spencer Rattler. The only reason I think that he's viable is like, again, Kellen Moore, and they paid decent draft capital to get him. But like even Dylan Gabriel, I would have liked more than Tyler Shuck. Not a Shuck believer, would have been happy with him having Olave. Yeah, that's fair. It's not hard to get excited for me for New Orleans, even though he's free. Tennessee, easy to get me excited for that. I'd rather stack Olave with Cam Ward, is basically how I feel about it. Especially if you could somehow get Cam Ward with Olave and Calvin Ridley. I think that'd be my preferred. We got 3 picks left. I gotta wait for these fuckers to go around one more time. Jesus Christ. I'm probably gonna start the drafters fill soon because I want to be done. I got to be done by 3 for my DraftKings stochastic stream. And this draft, I feel like this draft has taken fucking 7 hours. It's like the slowest DraftKings draft in the history of DraftKings draft. Tyler Johnson here, or Theo Johnson, excuse me, not Tyler Johnson. That's a different player entirely. I think he would not be a bad click. 8th receiver would be nice as well. I'm going to go Theo here. Theo, a bit of a tier break at receiver, though. Noah Gray, Higbee, I think still viable clicks. Nobody else here I'd want to take. Gatson, Fannin for a faint shot. They get something useful, maybe. But I do want the 4th tight end, so I'm going to take Higbee as well. So the team so far, a 2-6-7-4. I'm going to make this last pick, I think, off the clock because this is fucking tedious to me. I'm glad I'm not wrong. It's a very slow draft. It's not because of you. And frankly, it's not because of the fucking dipshit in the 2-hole either. But DK drafts last eternally. 20 rounds at a 30-second clock is just like, and I feel like a fucking ADHD little bitch. But it just is not moving at a nice pace. But I'm going to start the drafters room here. Oh, God, we got to fill this entire room. 1 out of 12 spots on drafters filled. Come play with me on here. Come play with me. We got 10 spots to fill on drafters. I'm going to just fucking hang myself while we wait for this to fill. While I wait to make my last DraftKings pick and we wait for this to fill. But of course, Drafters is a great presenting sponsor. And as I've mentioned enough times, your EV will carry you further on Drafters. I'm living proof of it. I finished top 100 in their big tournament, finished top 10 in playoff best ball last year, only doing 3 entries. It's the upside you get on Drafters. So do play on there. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com. Do that. Download the app. Promo code SPLASH on there. It's the same thing, $100 deposit match. Great site to play on, except when you have to fill an entire room on stream. Then it's less of a great site to play on. But we're going to do the best we can to fill this one. Thank you, Gamblestein. You're one draft. You can get more, Gamblestein. It's the guys I don't want in every room. But really, it's just like anybody can have, like, hop in a draft every couple weeks. That's cool. Every single time my stream is, like, excessive. But we know that. Anyway, I can't believe I have to fucking fill this entire room. This is the worst possible outcome for me. I wanted to have a little break in between my streams today. And thanks to DraftKings and drafters not being filled, I'm not getting any break. I'm going to roll right into the next draft. I know these are real first-class problems. I understand, guys. But I'm trying new timing here, trying to do more of these drafts on every platform. It's a lot easier for me when they fucking pop. When they go real quick. 9 spots left on drafters. Please play on there. Wait for this shit to finish too. Oh, man. I drafted a lot of best ball teams on vacation. Even though I only streamed one day, I think I did like 20 underdog drafts on vacation. And I'll tell you what, people were not drafting well in the 4th of July week. So I'm curious to see what happens when we are in the full casual time of year. Somebody left the drafters room? Come on, guys. Get back in there, you cocks. Oh, God. Get back in there and make fast clicks. Oh, this guy's finally autoing. I hate this shit, man. I love the gambling in best ball. I hate the having to fucking fill these out. Thank you, Devin. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you more than most. All right, we got one more click here. Look, Dontavian Wicks for free. I don't think he's correlated with anything we have. I've mostly given up on everything. Elijah Moore still available too. Wicks or Moore? Wicks, I think, has a real role, even though he's definitely facing competition. Moore may not have a real role, but he is stacked up. We'll do it. We'll do Moore. So the final team here, as we wait for drafters to fill, so please play on. There's 7 spots left on drafters. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Walker, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Likely here as part of our Baltimore stack with no correlation. I guess we could have taken Wicks for that. Jordan Addison, Jalen Warren, Darnell Mooney, Keon Coleman, JJ McCarthy, Ray Davis, Kyle Pitts, Rico Dowdle, Marshawn Lloyd, Diami Brown, Theo Johnson, Higbee to flesh out the tight end room, get us to 4, and Elijah Moore for free here as our 8th receiver. So, like, I think the room could have been better. I think that also really made my brain bleed. So that was that was it. We got 6 spots left on drafters. Come join me. Thank you, Gamblestein. I appreciate that. I think I'm building good teams across the board this year. It's just the journey to get there has been a little bit different. Shout out Sammy, one of our earliest members here on the channel. Always appreciate his positivity. I can blame you. Should have given you a heads up. It was almost full. I'm in the pre-draft. Oh, well, it's okay, Charles. You couldn't have known. We got 6 spots left on drafters. I'm going to throw the football. It's that easy, guys. Find me somebody else who can catch a football on stream. I dare you. Lefty? Oh, no, lefty not as good. Lefty not as good. Hey, soon we're going to have training camp news to fill the dead air. But for now you have me poorly throwing spirals. I'm not looking at anybody's team. No disrespect. I don't want to look at anybody's teams. Love you, Gamblestein. Seems like a decent team from what I could tell. I don't even do team reviews for members anymore. If you drop them in like the Discord, I'll review it if you really ask me to, but like, I don't want to do it. It took me so much fucking time last year. Really the last 2 years where I was doing team reviews for everybody who's a paying member. I don't ever need to look at another team again. That's how I feel about it. Keontae Turpin or Kevontae Turpin got arrested this week. Yeah, I did see that. He was never really a click I wanted to make anyway, but certainly having legal trouble doesn't help him out. It's always funny too, because it's like he was a USFL guy who got there, had to work really hard to get to the USFL, showed up there, got to the Cowboys, and it's like these guys who work so hard to get to that, getting a spot in an NFL roster. It's so sad to see them throw it away with dumb shit. Because you could get, Kevontae Turpin is pretty fast and he's a good special teamer, but there's a million guys who could play a similar role for the Cowboys and get fed touches, or they just don't get the touches and they go to Pickens or go to CeeDee Lamb's getting paid a shitload of money. So it's always kind of sad to me that it's if he gets suspended or they take him or, kick him off the roster, probably wouldn't for those charges. But if they did, he's not getting back in the league. Stupid. No, take no risks. It was 6 spots left on drafters. Oh, God. Do we think I'm going to make my stochastic stream on time? That's the question. I've settled on the idea that I'm not going to get a break in between. But if it takes forever to fill this room, I might not get to that stream on time either. Sad AF, shit's horrible. Why would you ever have a gun in your cush bag? Yeah, that's true. Look, and the good news, if you're going to get arrested anywhere with a gun, Probably one of the better places to do it, but never a good thing. Thank you, Sammy. Good draft, cuz. Time to make the donuts. I appreciate you, Sammy. Appreciate all you guys watching live right after the fact. And again, I'm sorry if I lose momentum on some of these. It's just like, there's really not a ton to talk about. Besides, I can talk about vacation. I'm pretty tan. You guys might be able to see on camera. Besides that, really wasn't a whole lot. Same thing we have on vacation every time. Wife gets angry at me because I'm not doing enough for the kid. Or not even angry, just like passive aggressive. Even though I did a ton. I was with Luca all fucking day. Went to the beach with my wife and mother-in-law for 3 out of the days. Got so sick of it. It's so hot in Florida. Like that stifling thick heat. Oh, kills me. Tough scene. Good seafood though. A lot of good seafood. Draft is exposed. Well, then the thing is, if I browse off the tab, people don't join the room. So I just have to sit here and wait. What time am I on? Stochastic, 3 p.m. Eastern today. DraftKings draft at 3 p.m. Eastern for everybody besides my draft stalker. You can go check that stream out and play with me on there. And please, if you're going to come draft me on DraftKings today at 3 p.m., have a quick finger. Let's take some quick picks. Let's not take 30-second clocks. Take the guy on the top of the queue. That's the goal. But actually, one thing I will talk about from my trip, had stone crab for the first time in a few years. One of my favorite places in the world, which I've only been to twice, but really a highlight of my life. Joe's Stone Crab in South Beach. I think there's a couple locations. You go to any of them, same shit. It's like a steakhouse, which has this thing called stone crab. If you're not familiar, it's like a crab that's, I think, native to Florida, maybe a few other regions like that. And it's they have the biggest claws in the world, basically, and they're easy to crack. It's not like, when you crack a king crab leg and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get the meat out. You just they'll either pre-crack them in a restaurant or you get them and do it. We got stone crab from this place called, if you're ever in Anna Maria Island in Florida, that's where we were, Captain Anthony's, and it's been there for 50 years. And it's this husband and wife that own the place, and the place is only open for 5 hours a day. They do boat trips besides that to go fishing and stuff. We got stone crab from there, and it's just so fucking good. I wish I could have stone crab every day of my life. It's probably too expensive to do that. If you've never had stone crab, there are 2 things in the world that I feel like every human being needs to eat. Wagyu beef, you have to eat at some point. Stone crab would be number 2. I also like lobster, but lobster's not, you've had lobster. Yeah, stone crab, man, God, just the best food in the world. Really strongly believe that. If anybody has a stone crab hookup, please feel free to ship them to me on dry ice, if possible. Still 4 spots left on drafters. This really tests my mettle every fucking day, every fucking time. Oh, can we get more people to play best ball, please, so we can fill drafters' rooms more efficiently? These fuckers are too busy doing the Dachshund tournament on Underdog when they could be chasing all this EV on drafters. It's disappointing to see this. It's disappointing to have to wait. There's a promo code SPLASH, though, as I think about stone crab. 3 left. Please. Who wants this action? The thing is, I'm too good of a drafter. You guys are afraid of it. I get it. You see me building better and better teams every year. You don't want any of it. I understand. I'm going to try different marketing approaches here. If you're too much of a coward to draft against me on drafters, don't sign up. Don't use that promo code SPLASH. Don't fill this tournament. At least you get draft on DK. Drafters, you don't get to draft. It's a good joke. Again, I love drafters. Great site. Really just wish we could do it. TD deposited and hopped in. My man, Mr. Mufasa. They're actually fun. We'll do little quiz games here because I know this from reading the Lion King book yesterday. What's Mufasa's wife's name? If you guys get that right, you win nothing from me, but I'll be impressed. Don't Google it. What's Mufasa's wife's name in the Lion King? The one who ends up moving over to Scar. Think about it. She's not Korean. She's not Hey. No, she's not Ho, but she is a Ho though. She did move right over to Scar. Though I don't think she had a choice in the matter. So that's the downside. If somebody's going to Google it and get the answer, So I'll say now, so you guys don't get the satisfaction. Sarabi. Sarabi is her name. That's some real bar trivia shit. Beyonce. I guess it could actually be Beyonce as well for the live action recasting of it. Well, so like after I read the book yesterday, I was like, oh, like I made some reference to it. And I'm like, oh, it's like Mufasa's wife, Sazazabi, or I totally forgot what her name was, and it's Sarabi. But yeah, Sazazabi is not it. That's my ex. Oh well, Sarabi. Sarabi gets around. Yeah, Scar though, real dick. Like I get you want to be king and whatever. You can't shove your brother off of a cliff. And Mufasa seemed like a great guy. And we had to read. So anyway, we read the book last night. Luke is having problems like listening lately. He's 3 and change. I guess almost 3.5. So he's in that range where he's like, I don't want to do this. It's like, you little fuck. You need to. I don't give a shit what you want. Like you gotta fucking do these things. He literally tackled the dog on the steps yesterday because he doesn't like people beating him up the steps. And I'm like, dude, you can't tackle the dog on the steps. And then I'm like, you gotta listen, like whatever. And he's like, starts like fucking laughing in my face about it. I'm like, dude, this is now. now we're setting it off. But then the Lion King, you read Lion King with him, and it's like, okay, he's done a bunch of things and not listening today. He like stepped on the dog before. He was also shoving me on the steps. We were in Florida because like I can't beat him in thing. I beat him in everything, and he fucking hates it. He loses his little fucking mind. But the Lion King is all about like fucking Simba just doesn't listen. Like Mufasa's like, hey man, don't go to that shadow area. It's not good. And just Simba doesn't listen. And you know what fucking happens? Simba's dad dies because he didn't listen. So that was sort of how it tied it all together for Luca. But amidst all that, Sarabi, a real hoe, is the main thing. But yeah, 3 and change is great. The thing is like he's very fun, he's very funny, a little too into like poopy, pee-pee, whatever. But like really is one of those things where the not listening part just drives me nuts. Cause like he's like a good kid and he knows better and he actively knows better. And it's like, I don't wanna, fuck you. Like if I fucking gave my parents were 80s parents and they still were not like, they weren't beating me or anything. I gave my parents the I don't wanna. I would lose all my shit. I'd lose my TV, whatever, in my room. I'd lose video game access. You can't do I don't wanna with me. Sarabi sounds like the sauce you use when eating sushi. That's true. Wasabi, Sarabi. How are there still 3 spots left, guys? 2 spots. There's hope. There's hope of filling this tournament, guys. Please play on drafters. They got reload bonuses and everything. I don't have one, but there was a, what was it? Reload 20 was it? I don't know if it's still available. Let me see. July reload was it? I don't know if it's still available. But please play on drafters. It's like the saddest telethon in the world. It's a telethon where like I don't really want to be hosting it. but we got to fill this room. 1 spot left. And if you're trying to max out drafters, my recommendation, use the app, look at when it's filled, whenever it's close to fill, hop in, put in 150 slow drafts. That might be it. Trying to get in, buddy, but stupid drafters update. Well, you're close. You got 1 spot left, Mr. PB. There we go. We filled. Oh, every time. But shout out. We got Chunk the Deuce. We've also got the Deuce FF. Chunk, are you multi-accounting? We got I am the KY, Mr. Mufasa, Gabe Davis. If you're in the room, Al Boogie in the room. Shout out Al being in here. Appreciate that. Gonna give a nightmare. Honestly, if you're gonna max out drafters, I would probably just do all slow drafts. I think would be just register them now, and then hopefully they'll fill by the time the slow drafts close. Would be my guess. We did it, gang. Devin, I don't know which one you are in here. D3 ball? Is that you? That'd be my guess. Favorite draft structure so far? Probably by modal RB. By modal RB, but make sure you get enough receivers in the top 10 rounds at the very least. Can't wait to shit on Al's picks. There we go. Devin, I did get 3 balls. The thing is, like, you got D in your name, so usually there's going to be some crossover there. There we go. I'm ready. Let's draft. I'll hit the button. But shout out to you guys who filled this room. That was an effort. That was a team effort all the way. But again, if you want to watch me slowly lose my sanity, having to fill drafts, going to be doing more of these triathlons coming up. Look, Underdog fills fast, DraftKings fills fast. Drafters, we get to run a mini telethon, and you get to really see the psychological experiment of how long it takes to fill a draft room. But if only the world knew, they'd be better off with their money on drafters. And I will also point out too, I did catch a few of you guys mentioning previously the cheaper tournaments appealing to you more. Drafters does have another $3 tournament coming up, or it's available right now. Here's the prize structure: $25K to first. It is a 150 max, so you'd be putting in 450 to max it. But if you want to spend less money, I know DraftKings is a little bit slow on the uptick to get a new puppy out there. Another good tournament to enter if you don't want to spend as much money, though. On stream, I'm still going to keep hitting these best ball championship ones because I want the money. I want the big money. Don't look at drafters queue past midnight. Probably a good idea. Waiting for drafters to fill at 2 a.m. is like pulling teeth. I'm sure you have to fill at that point at 8 a.m. the next morning, possibly. Yeah, if Sherlock Holmes were really good at guessing usernames, I'll tell you what, though, he probably couldn't guess them very well because they didn't have screen names back when he was around. There would be a Mufasa. Well, that's Mr. Mufasa for you. That's our guy TD. We're picking in the 9 hole here, though, so probably a Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, Christian McCaffrey kind of start, but we'll see what this room kicks back. This room does not want Saquon, does not want Bijan. I am the KY's new Splash Play AI helmet you can see here. I don't even know what you're doing with your helmets anymore. I know I say that every time, but they really get further and further away from the plot each time. All right, Neighbors goes. All right, Jahmyr Gibbs at pick 9. Sure, I'll take that. Scarf it up, boys. This is the RB Piggy Splash Play channel, but I don't care. I'm going to be advancing teams left and right with how much I've been taking running backs. Play the gift, though. Oh, running backs. Can't imagine a life without him. Move me down here, too. That's a little bit better. The Gibbs pick 9 ahead of McCaffrey. Perfect price. I think Gibbs should go ahead of Neighbors, though, if I were going to rank it. Jency going pick 6. I just don't think it's the move. I don't know if OSHH is in here with us. Jency at pick 6, like, I just don't think that's projectable. Like, over Gibbs, over Saquon, that's tough. Drake London coming back. That seems like a decent click here. Derrick Henry, I still like, but not going to do it with Gibbs. I'll go Drake London here. Gibbs, Drake London start. 2 guys who were young, who had really good upside last year. Drake London commanded a ton of targets when Penix took over, had over a 35% target per out run. Overall last year, Drake London was, I think, at 31%. 31.2% target per out run for Drake London last year on a 0.23 EPA. And obviously, it does include the kind of shitty Kirk Cousins time. Drake London, the thing that probably stands out the most, 1.5 red zone targets a game. So for comparison's sake, you're talking about more than Nico Collins and Mike Evans at 1.1, less than Devontae Adams at 1.9, more than Trey McBride at 1.4, less than Amon-Ra St. Brown at 1.9, more than Chris Godwin's 1 per game, more than Jonnu Smith's 1.1. Jonnu Smith lost a really good role in Miami. But Drake London, he's one of those guys I'm not getting a lot of in particular because of taking an RB. When I'm picking in the like 10, 11, 12 holes, like usually one of my first 2 picks is a running back. I want to get more Drake London though, because like in terms of just pure target earning last year, he and Neighbors were special characters. I am the KY taking Nico Collins at pick 3. This room. I wonder why I win on drafters. I wonder why I get good results. You guys just going nuts on ADPs here. Bucky Irving here going to chunk. A Jefferson Bucky start, I think, is pretty fun. Chase Bucky start, I would say more fun. Shout out all the guys here making the picks move fast. We're living the dream here, guys. This Jency McBride team, if nothing else, will be unique. Well, I'm watching this guy in the 6-hole because I want to see what he's going to do next. I assume he's just going to take like an elite QB, or I guess a receiver would be more logical. But let's see what he does. I feel like they're like watching wildlife. Crikey, he's taking Ashton Jency and Trey McBride back to back. This little bugger doesn't know how to draft very well, does he? That's that's Best Ball Crocodile Hunter, guys. One of the new bits I'm working on. I had a week off and I had a lot of time to think about bits, and Best Ball Crocodile Hunter was the number 1 on the list. He's thinking hard. He's thinking hard. He's thinking I could use a wide receiver, but Josh Jacobs with this team? Nah, I gotta get an elite QB. Oh, you got. He's in his natural habitat right now, drafting no receivers through 3 rounds. We got Josh Jacobs coming back. Decent value on him. Marvin Harrison, I think a better click at this point. Terry McLaurin goes a little bit cheaper in ADP. I'm going to go Marv. I'm going to go big Marv. Marvin Harrison, putting on muscle. Contested catch guy. How could it go wrong? So Jahmyr Gibbs, Drake London, Marvin Harrison start. Thought about taking McLaurin and trying to push Jayden back around, but I think that I don't think there was a guarantee Jayden came back anyway. In fact, I think D3 now is probably going to go McLaurin and Jayden would be my guess. So probably not a Jayden team for me here, and I'm okay with that. Nico, JT, Tyreek. I mean, Tyreek's coming up in ADP, so get him at 27 is not a bad thing. I don't think Tyreek benefits as much from Johnny Living as people want to believe, but certainly we'll see. Kittle here for elite tight end. Slight discount on the 37 ADP. I'll go Kittle. Would like to get more Kittle on all the sites. If I get him just more on drafters, that's fine. But a Gibbs, London, Harrison, Kittle start. I like that. McLaurin, Jayden would have also been fun. But I think I'm really gonna force my way to Jayden as much as possible because I want to make sure to get enough of them everywhere. I'm above the field on Jayden as it is. We can actually look at the drafters version of Best Ball Explorer if you guys want. I'm gonna make you do it anyway. But here, let's move me up here. So drafters right now, I've got 17% Jayden on drafters, 22% Kyler. Definitely not as flat of an exposure on drafters. At RB, DeAndre Swift leads the way for me. I got him at so cheap too. I was taking Swift a ton as a much cheaper pick. I've got 39% Swift. I can honestly live with that. Probably going to fall anyway though because his ADP's come up about 20 spots, which is crazy. I got him as an average pick of 84. Jaylen Warren, still with that. ATN still with that. Surprised I've taken as much Sean Tucker. That feels a little bit insane, but obviously 21 drafts are going to be 20-round drafts. At receiver, a lot of Juwan Jennings around ADP. Keon Coleman took him a lot when he was cheaper. Not taking him quite as much now. Christian Kirk, a little bit cheaper ADP for me. Diami Brown, substantially cheaper ADP there. I've just taken mispriced guys a bunch on drafters. Really been the main thing. And seemingly I'm reading the market correctly for the most part, besides Chris Godwin, who I seemingly have read incorrectly everywhere. Trey McBride, I take ahead of ADP a lot, but I've got 22% of him. Zach Ertz, behind ADP, but 22% of him. I'm taking Kittle a good amount. I didn't realize that. Wow, so about half my lineups include one of McBride, Kittle, or Bowers, which I think makes sense on drafters. So that's how drafters looks on there. If you guys are curious. Again, the only one that's a pain in the ass to put on Best Ball Explorer is DraftKings because you have to use a special Chrome extension to pull your exposures from DraftKings and get them on here. And I haven't done that yet. But for drafters and Underdog, it's a CSV upload. So Would recommend checking out Best Ball Explorer, especially if you're like me and you're about halfway into your workload for the summer. I'll put the link in one more time. It's a solver tool / an ETR tool, but check it out for yourself. No matter what site you're playing on. Burrow, Chuba, Travis Hunter here, who is falling ADP wise. Juwan Jennings. I like Jennings more. I do like Jennings more. I'm going to go Jennings because I don't think the guys on the turn are going to pass up Jennings because of the Q tag. If this were DraftKings and I knew it was all like names I don't know, I would have probably taken Hunter, tried to push Jennings around. But as it is, I want to get that Niners double. Would like to get Brock Purdy with the team if we can get it. So Jennings and Kittle, two guys who commanded a shitload of targets last year for the Niners. And now you've shipped out Debo. I don't see how it gets worse for them unless the team just falls off the cliff, which I don't expect to happen. So Niners double here with Jennings and Kittle. This year's jersey would probably be Cam Ward if I were to choose one. Though I'm not taking a ton of Cam Ward right now. I feel like he's not aligning as much ADP-wise. Ridley in particular, I feel like I've just not been in spots to pick Ridley. But yeah, if I had to choose, it'd be Cam Ward. Cam Ward's the one I'll be the most above the field on. Really not of the rookie I would be above the field on. Jackson Dart, if he landed anywhere besides the Giants this year, he would probably have been a Jersey guy. But instead, he's just an actual New Jersey guy. Hate to see it. Nice spot here. Mixon as a value a little bit after ADP, I think works. Again, I've got a lot of DeAndre Swift at much cheaper. I'm going to go Mixon here. And Mixon and back that last year picked up 21.2 intended touches a game, 4.1 intended red zone rushes a game, 0.6 targets in the red zone per game. Not a great avoided tackle rate guy. It's 10%, but he hasn't been anyway for years. Mixon is too cheap to me. I think he's falling in ADP everywhere because he was a little bit banged up in minicamp. But like Nick Chubb is mostly dust. He could maybe soak a few touchdowns away when Mixon's tired and whatever. Because like last year, there were drives where Mixon, move the ball. They'd bring in Darian Gubawale. When they had Cam Akers, they'd bring him in. I think that's what Nick Chubb's role is going to be. But his role isn't good enough that Mixon should go, in my opinion, next to RJ Harvey. Like RJ Harvey, I really think at this range, I know people liked him a lot. But you're talking about an old player who played at Central Florida. The team saw him in minicamp and said, let's get J.K. Dobbins in. I don't think he's priced appropriately. I like that this room took Henderson ahead of him. I think that's correct. But Harvey, in my opinion, should be behind Caleb Johnson. He won't get there, but I think he should be. Don't mind Al here, just clicking names. Not sure if it's correlated. Yeah, Al's team. I got to say, Al, your team looks a lot like ones I would build. Kyron, I get a good amount. Brian Thomas, I'm low on everywhere, which worries me a little bit given how good he was. And he was a guy I was above the field on pre-draft, regular season tournaments as well. I don't love the price tag for him. I wish he were just a little bit cheaper. But I'm getting less Brian Thomas because of my taking more RBs in that range. So he's a guy that's suffering for me, and it does worry me because he's probably got the potential this year to put up multiple 30-point games. I'd like to get more Brian Thomas. What are my thoughts on those that draft two rookie RBs, their RB 1 and 2? I think it's awful. I mean, that's a mistake I've made before. And again, I've nailed rookie RB a lot of years and gotten a good value out of it. A couple years ago, I did a ton of Algier. He carried me in my Best Ball Mania best year in terms of the finals and all that. Obviously, last year with Bucky was a big stand for me. I don't really think you're going to do well putting in a bunch. I've gotten Kenneth Walker's rookie year. Like, I've done well with rookie RB, and I will say, people told me, like on stream, Pete, when I drafted with him regularly, was like, it's a lot of rookies to get there, to expect to get there. I learned that lesson myself, even with hitting on RB. When you don't hit, it's going to be really bad. And like, I think people don't grasp that. So I would say to try to not do that would be my thought. like it's a zero RB range where it's like you go into Harvey, Caleb Johnson, Quinshot Judkins. Judkins could easily be held at bay by Jerome Ford more than you want to see, because Ford's a guy they've trusted in the past, so they've used in a variety of ways. You still have Dylan Sampson there, who I think is also not going to be ready year one, coming from Tennessee, where it's just not an offense that's going to prepare you for the pros. I think that can still go badly from a couple different ways. For Caleb Johnson, you have Jaylen Warren there, and I do think they want that, more traditional power back. Caleb Johnson, I think, is the most natural fit of all the rookies in that range. Travion, too, frankly, I think he's got juice, but he's still got getting 12 touches a game at OSU. Usually the best predictor of volume in the pros is volume in college. So neither he nor Judkins have that. I don't hate these guys. It's just, I think in previous years, they would have been priced more 100-ish. And if they're in Scadaboo range, they're the same play as Scadaboo. That I'm cool with. Better draft capital than Scadaboo, but very similar potential runouts. And I'm just not crazy about the situation as it is for them. All right, Purdy's got a 104.8 ADP here. He should come back, so I'm not going to reach for him yet. I am going to add on Brian Robinson here, I think. Cooper Kupp, a bit of a wide receiver 5 tier break as well. But we got the Atlanta double here, Niners double. Pretty clear the QBs I would like to get, but we'll see what happens in this room. We are going to have to fight for Ayuk. Yeah, the Pearsall drafter, our guy, Mr. Mufasa. He could take Purdy. So hopefully he'll get Mahomes, and then he won't do that. We'll see how it works. I don't want to overthink it. But I don't think taking Purdy at 88 was the move. Even if I get sniped on him, I don't think that was correct to do that there. Henderson and Harvey, no. I just think Harvey's role has materially shifted now. If you're bringing, again, and the time of events is a really important part of it. So they didn't bring in Dobbins pre-draft, right? They didn't bring him in even right after the draft. They brought him in when they had an entire camp to go through and see how Harvey, how Estime, how McLaughlin, how the other guys, Watson, whatever dudes on the depth chart you want to talk about. They saw that and they were like, yeah, J.K. Dobbins would be a good addition here for, okay money, not really crazy money. I don't think it's a good reflection on what they had there, but I think people were so dead set on RJ Harvey's going to be a smash. He's going to be the bell cow. And it's Alvin Kamara. And that's an outcome that can occur, but I don't think it's the most likely outcome now. For Henderson, you still have Ramondre Stevenson on a pretty good contract. And Henderson's not the kind of back that Mike Vrabel has used in the past. I guess the best comp would be a Deion Lewis, who at one point, was there for Josh McDaniel and for Vrabel, I believe, towards the beginning of his stint. Maybe that's your best case for him, and that would be a decent case. But I don't know. I think Ramondre really fucks things up for Henderson. I think Dobbins fucks things up for Harvey. I think Jaylen Warren can fuck things up for Caleb Johnson, but at least they're totally different backs, so that's a viable out. I think that range is not good. If they're your RB1, RB2, I just think you're not doing it right. If they're your RB3, RB4, that makes a lot more sense to me. You have one of the elites above them. You have at least a Joe Mixon type above them. That's a little bit better. You got to have some projection above / with them would be my big thing. All right. I'm not going to risk it with Purdy. He's too valuable for me at this point. Brock Purdy here. And Chunk went to go. JJ McCarthy at pick 98. McCarthy has an ADP 118. Yeah, you probably didn't want to auto that one. Won't kill you, but you probably don't want to auto that. Because I assume McCarthy would have safely come back to our guy Chunk here. And basically, he auto-clicked McCarthy, or I guess autoed on his queue. So ended up taking him about 20 spots early. I'd say at least a 50-50 chance he came back. Probably more like 70-30. And as a best ball drafter, that is generally your job. Soak up all the ADP values possible. I don't do it as much as I do it on my stochastic videos, but being mindful of ADPs, stacking and correlating, and remembering for all of these tournaments, even for drafters, you are paid out in week 17 primarily. So keep that in mind when you are drafting things here. Okay, Kyler came all the way back. This is now about a 20 pick discount on him. And we do have Marvin Harrison. So I'm just going to scoop that. Feel okay about my baseline here with Gibbs, Mixon, and Brian Robinson as my RBs. At wide receiver, we have London, Harrison, Jennings, Mooney. Got the elite tight end with Kittle, now stacked up with Purdy. Don't love taking 2 QBs in this range because I do think you lose out a little at RB and receiver. But we have a 20-round draft, so a Purdy and discount Kyler Murray here feels kind of unique for the drafters format. And definitely having 2 QBs that are going to be probably projected for 15 to 20 points most weeks, I think will help out in a total points format. Still would like to get Penix too here, but we'll see how that works out. So team so far, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray at a really big discount, I would say, for him. Jahmyr Gibbs, he was also discounted at pick 9. Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, and George Kittle. We've actually soaked up a good amount of ADP value in this room, so happy with the team. Didn't take JJ McCarthy 20 picks early, so I think that's a positive. Ha ha ha. My lighter fell. Ugh. Shout out to all you guys watching live. Again, I know these drafts, when the streams get like to 2.5 hours, I think we're feeling a little bit long here in the tooth, but show some love, subscribe, hit the like button, do all that stuff. Goes a long way for me here. One guy fighting the YouTube algorithm, all that stuff. And also, too, having to wait around for room to fill is going to absolutely kill the view count. But, you know, whatever. Who cares? Who cares? We're gambling well here. And I will be doing a DraftKings draft on Stochastic in about 50 minutes, guys. So come join over there. Everybody besides, we know who. Burden, I have not been clicking as much lately. I feel like he'd be the obvious pick. But I like Mims. People are down on Mims now. I think he kind of goes inversely to Pat Bryant, where people are really stoked about Pat Bryant. Guys like Josh Norris are hyping him up a little bit more. I'm not sold on Pat Bryant being a guy that's going to be ready day one. If they have critiques of Troy Franklin, I think the critiques of Pat Bryant will be more substantial for Denver once they actually get him out there and are trying to see how he fits in. He was a crazy target owner at Illinois, so like I get where they're coming from, but not a great athlete. He's got to compete with Devon Vele, got to compete with Troy Franklin for touches outside. Mims had a very particular usage way that he was deployed last year. Low ADOT stuff, still got some shots downfield and all that. I think Mims to me is undervalued. And I think it's mostly because of the fact that people think Pat Bryant's going to come in and fuck it up for a guy like Mims, even though they're completely different players. So Mims to me, if he's your wide receiver 5, I think it's really the end of where I'm comfortable as a wide receiver 5. Like Hollywood Brown, I have as wide receiver 5 sometimes. I don't feel great about that. I think you could feel good about Mims, especially on full point PPR. So that's sort of my main Mims take. Think we want another RB here. Bashal Tootin, we know, is coming down. I'm not crazy about him. Ray Davis, Rashad White, Trey Benson, all fit. I'm going to go Rashad White here. Rashad White, to me, appropriate price is probably $130. Rashad White's going to be on the field more than you'd like. And I say that as like the biggest believer in Bucky. So the way they've talked about it is like they expect Rashad White to still be the guy getting pass pro work, getting third down work out there. Frankly, still live for goal line work as well, even though Bucky is as good as him, if not better, at the goal line, despite the lack of size. But I think to try to get this room a little more solid here, we only had 3 RBs. Rashad White's just one guy like with a real role, who has potential contingent value as well. And frankly, how much Sean Tucker I'm getting, I just got to get some Rachaad White in instead. So Rachaad White, pick 136 for me here. Think Mims could have a breakout year. He's usually my wide receiver 6. He flashed like pretty impressively last year. And he was also one of those guys that played well out wide at OU despite being smaller. Yeah, he had a 0.43 EPA per target last year, and that's with a really low ADOT, 7.1 ADOT. And basically the reason that stands out is like, if you have a high EPA per target and you're a guy that's mostly getting kind of short targets, that means you were really good getting short targets. It also means that, it also means that there was a little bit of a mix there. He did get some downfield shots enough. He had 0.7 deep targets a game, throws 20 plus air yards. So like Mims, the fact there's versatility there, like I just don't see how Pat Bryant in particular, like it's not just about him. It's about Vele. It's even about Troy Franklin, who is a different kind of player than Mims. Cortland Sutton, like these guys can't do what Mims does. Like they can't be elite special teamers who are guaranteed to be on the active roster on game day, who also can do a lot of after catch stuff. Can also avoid some tackles and all that. Like Mims has a lot of stuff that I think Sean Payton will grow to value more. And I think with the trajectory of usage last year too, like I think he did value it more as they went. Would have liked Penix to come all the way back, but this guy took him unstacked in the one hole. So that is what it is. We took him with Algier. So that's a really real tight correlation for the Atlanta stack for the guy in the one hole. Penix would have been a nice wide receiver 3, but we got the Atlanta stack without him, so we'll get the benefit. And we have 2 QBs that can outscore Penix, so I think that's okay. All right, Trey Benson comes all the way back. I'm pretty comfortable with that. 12 spots after ADP. Got our correlation with Kyler Murray here. That's fine. So 5 RBs, 5 receivers. George Kittle, our lone tight end. Thoughts on the Houston wide receivers like Kirk, Higgins, and Noel. Noel, I think, is going to be blocked by Kirk being out there. Noel should be playing out of the slot. There's a shot to get like some of those Tank Dell kind of targets. But I think that Kirk's going to be out there a bunch based on how they've talked about it so far, where top 3 to me is obviously going to be Nico. Kirk playing out the slot primarily. Higgins playing out wide. Nico's going to move in the slot sometimes, and you'll get, Nico and Higgins playing out there. But I think that Kirk is like probably your number 2 target earner there, would be my thought. Higgins is too similar to Nico in terms of how they play, which could end weirdly, I suppose. Pretty big value on Dalton Kincaid here, and I need a second tight end, so I'm just going to take Kincaid. 142 ADP on him, getting him here at pick 160. Receiver at this point, again, Pat Bryant. He would work as like a mini stack with Mims, but I'm not crazy about Pat Bryant on his drafters price tag. He is like silver priced on drafters. He's kind of caught up to what his normal price tag should be everywhere else, but on drafters, for some reason, he's like 20 spots ahead. So Pat Bryant, not for me here. Team so far is Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray at QB. Big value on Kyler Murray. Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson, Rachaad White, Trey Benson. All guys who should be in the mix for parts of a backfield. Trey Benson, they've said they want it to be a split backfield, but I think your most likely outcome is he gets like a third of the workload there. Receiver, Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims. Frankly, all receivers I like. Feels like we're missing one guy who has superstar power in there. But that's what happens when you take Jahmyr Gibbs and Joe Mixon, and George Kittle as well at pick 40. He definitely took away some early capital here. But him and Kincaid, it's a viable tight end room. We just got to add some more volume on a receiver, and I'll feel better about the team. Mims has been in the doghouse in every single team he's played for since high school. Honestly, wild. He wasn't in the doghouse for Denver last year. I mean, by the end of last year, he was like getting meaningfully targeted. And again, he got targeted when he was out there. Like he ran a route. Well, it's not great. He ran 11 routes a game the entire season, but a 29.5% target per route run when he's out there. Like when he was out there, they tried to give him the ball. So like people kept asking about Kevontae Turpin, who we talked about earlier. He got busted for pot and guns, so we'll see what happens to him legally. But people like Kevontae Turpin. In reality, Mims is like Kevontae Turpin. He's got special teams upside, except that he actually gets out there, plays more snaps and all that, or at least he should be. I don't know. I think Mims, I'm still a believer in Mims, but I think if you carry the priors from the first year, especially for him, He's a less appealing click for sure. All right, so we got Jonnu as well, 30 spots after ADP. Pretty nice wide receiver spot, but I don't believe in passing up these tight end values at this point. So Jonnu Smith, come on down. Jonnu Smith, a guy who for drafters, 15 to 20% of the tournament already, he was going at pick 100 to 120. Here we're getting him at pick 175. I think Jonnu Smith is a little bit undervalued. I get being less enthusiastic for him going to Pittsburgh. Like in Miami, he had a fantastic role in Miami. Again, getting one red zone opportunity a game, getting a pretty good target share around 30%. Like Jonnu Smith was like, he had a good Miami. But for Pittsburgh, the last time Arthur Smith had his hands on him, he was trading spike weeks to Kyle Pitts in a meaningful way, getting screens, taking him to the house and shit. I think for Jonnu Smith, like he's being treated like a dead click or a falling knife, and like he shouldn't be. His price should stop at like 150. It won't, but like it should. You're like over penalizing him for how early he went before. We got 5 receivers here. Going to try to add the 6th in with Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, is the pick. Michael Wilson would give us more of the Arizona stack, which could be logical. But Wan'Dale, I think, is a good PPR play. Think can also be a contingent play if we see neighbors get hurt. So for Wan'Dale as wide receiver 6, I can live with it. Really, any of these guys, though, Michael Wilson, Keenan as wide receiver 6, I'd have been fine with it. Seem to always get Josh Palmer as my wide receiver 7. Do you think he's a play as wide receiver 7? Yeah. I think he's a play as your 5 or 6 in certain rooms. I like Palmer. I think Palmer you're getting, like I was saying, they're in DraftKings draft. Like, it's stupid to snipe Shakir because, like, for Josh Palmer, you're getting a very similar player and a guy who's probably got more positional versatility than Shakir does. Like, Shakir, I think, should be a pure slot guy. He's playing out wide. He's getting paid enough. They're probably going to move him around the formation a good amount. But Josh Palmer did that extremely well when he was backing up Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. He still kept filling in last year. He wasn't as good as Ladd McConkey in terms of target earning and all that. But yeah, I think Josh Palmer is like a perfectly viable click. And on drafters in particular, I mean, he went at 179 here. In BBM, he's like got I think a 155 ADP or something. 154.8. He shouldn't be 20 picks cheaper on a PPR site. I would strongly believe that. Keenan Allen goes to I am the KY here. I would have happily taken him if he came back to 201, which he does sometimes. But Keenan Allen, to me, if he makes it to round 17 and you need a 7th receiver, even a 6th, Keenan Allen should be that guy, I think, every time. Even if he doesn't play this year, like, even if you get Will Fullard, which I don't think you should, I think Keenan Allen was still the right click to make here because his upside, even his floor, is better than a lot of the guys in this range's upside. Like, if you told me Keenan Allen beat out Darius Slayton the entire year, I wouldn't be surprised by it. Michael Wilson, same thing. Fuck with Mims personally. He grew up playing the stadium that I work at. Just feel like he's never gotten the chance to fully succeed. That's what happens when you're a tweener. He's not really big enough. He's a guy that can play outside, but you naturally don't want to put him outside because he's not that big. But he, frankly, like, that's a tough comp. He's got like Tyreek Hill ability. Like, I think if you gave him Tyreek Hill routes and you just said, here's the outlay of, like, if you gave him the Tyreek Hill work that Tyreek Hill got a couple years ago when we thought he was like the best player in football, basically, he was getting targeted like 40% of the time he was on the field. Getting a snap, like they're feeding the ball incessantly in a bunch of different ways. I think Mims would crush in that role, but it doesn't seem like it's how Sean Payton wants to use him. So you'll take what you can get. But I'm happy with what I can get for Mims. I still think he's a good click. At this point, we're just dumpster diving a little, which is fine. Calvin Austin, I think a valid PPR click. It seems like Aaron Rodgers is not going to be able to bring in one of his guys in the slot. And Calvin Austin is a guy that has put up 20-point games before, or at least close to it. Last year, frankly, Calvin Austin had more 10-point games than I would realize. He put up a 20, a 17, 10, 11 and a half, 10 and a half. And now he's going to be your dink and dunk guy for Rodgers. Like, Calvin Austin he and Diami Brown are two guys that should come up. Like, you're comparing these guys right now in ADP to Ayumanor, who is going to be like mostly your sacrificial X behind Ridley, so I don't think he's got a pathway to being an every snap guy. Austin's going to be out there. The risk is, I guess, 2 tight end personnel, 12 personnel. But that's better production from Austin than I thought he had last year. Dante Thornton here. I feel like we're done at tight end at this point. Take a good amount of Alec Pierce, so I think that 80 Mitchell might be a viable click. But frankly, Thornton's coming up. We're getting him 20 spots after ADP. I can go Thornton here. 6-star B at this point, not doing a ton for me. And I could live with Gibbs, Mixon, Brian Robinson, Rashad White, and Benson, I think. So yeah, we'll add the 8th receiver on. Let's give the team a read here for our last draft before I hop over to Stochastic and do one more draft. We got Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray. The big discount on Kyler Murray was the thing to me here. Got him 20 spots basically after ADP. I think at that point, just had to take him because we had a correlation especially. But we got Jahmyr Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Brian Robinson, Rashad White, Trey Benson. Some Arizona correlation here. Obviously expecting Gibbs, Mixon, and Brian Robinson to carry most of the water for this team. At receiver, we have Drake London, Marvin Harrison, Juwan Jennings, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, we've debated a lot. Wan'Dale Robinson, who's definitely not as great of a click as he was a couple years ago, but frankly, check his box scores. He closed the year out with 3 games of 13 points or more. That's not bad. Start of the year with a couple as well. Well, Wan'Dale had like a not bad year last year with dog shit QB play. Yeah, for a free guy, I'm cool with that. So Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Austin, we just looked at as well. Dante Thornton, likely going to be a lot of snaps outside receiver. Bigger body guy than Trey Tucker, so he should be able to find his way out wide. But, you're going to be competing with Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers for touches, so not a terribly exciting click, but he works at this point. I think Roman Wilson gets the gadget work. I think comparing Calvin Austin to Roman Wilson, in my opinion, is like the Christian Kirk, Jalen Noel one, where one of them has like kind of that downfield target burner role, most likely. The other guy is a more reliable stick mover, chain mover kind of guy. But I think if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I really find it hard to believe he would gravitate towards Roman Wilson, who didn't play last year. I just don't think that's the kind of guy that usually Rodgers would flock to. But certainly he could. RB could add a 6-star B on. Let's take Ty Johnson here. I didn't take him last draft when I had Josh Allen. And I do like Ty Johnson to give me one more RB here who could spike a little bit. Frankly, think Ty Johnson should have a better ADP than a lot of these guys. In particular, like Devin Neal, who's now safely behind Cam Akers, most likely. Isaiah Davis, I would say, is the best case scenario for Isaiah Davis is being a guy like Ty Johnson who comes in as a change of pace and can scoop some touchdowns. Blake Corum at least is like a direct handcuff, most likely. Brashard Smith, people like that he's getting targets and shit, but to me, he feels like your generic Prince of the Year. The Pacheco's more vulnerable as starting RB than he's ever been. Just not crazy about Brashard Smith. If you take Ty Johnson in this range, I think he's a better click than a lot of these guys. Monin guy, you have a chance that he can be something. But you need Swift and Roshan to fail meaningfully, I think, for that to happen. 5 QBs in the one hole. Don't ever want to hear a reference between me and that deuce ever again. And he took fucking Penix from me, too. But yeah, it's like 5 shitty QBs. Like, Shadour's probably not going to play this year. If he does, it would be late at best. Dart, I think, will play later in the year, but no guarantee that happens if the Giants are good competition for a playoff spot. Shuck should start, though definitely hasn't won the job yet. Drake May, we know how I feel about him. Which compared to the other guys, Drake May is a great click. But our last pick coming up here, and shout out to all you guys who've hung out with me the entire time. You're hopping over to DraftKings in 30 minutes, so come do that too. Freiermuth would be an interesting click at this point. Just to fully cover the moon at tight end for Pittsburgh. Josh Reynolds, I think, is a click you can make. I'll go Josh Reynolds here. Nothing I want to do from the Niners, nothing from Arizona at this point. Guess maybe I could have taken Greg Dortch or some shit, but that's not the most appealing. So our final team here is a 2-6-9-3. Got Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, big discount on Kyler Murray. I think is the most unique part of the team. Jameer Gibbs at pick 9, also a discount there. Joe Mixon, a 4-pick discount. Robinson at ADP, Brian Robinson, that is. Rashad White at ADP. Trey Benson, a little discount on him. Ty Johnson took him at ADP. At receiver, Drake London, slight discount. Marvin Harrison, slight discount. Juwan Jennings ahead of ADP. Mooney ahead of ADP. I think this seems unique, though. Wandale, really big discount. Marvin Mims at ADP. Calvin Austin at ADP. Thornton, doesn't really matter the discount there. And Josh Reynolds closed out the receiver room. At tight end, George Kittle, slight discount again. Kincaid, pretty big discount. Jonnu, very big discount, that we know the reason why. Yeah, the team works for me. I'm okay with it. Sorry I sniped Josh Reynolds from you, but he's really the only last receiver who's viable at this point. I guess Troy Franklin would have been viable as well. That's that. That's our 3 drafts for today. So I think we're going to do the same thing on Thursday, guys. I think the weed stream is going to go away for a little bit. But I think we're going to do these Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday is my plan at the very least. I reserve the right, though, to not do it on Thursday and just do it on Friday again. So stay tuned here. The Tri Triathlon, copyright here, trademark is Splash Play, drafted on all the sites, Underdog, DraftKings, and Drafters. I'll be hitting DraftKings again on Stochastic in about 30 minutes. So if you want to get with me on there, you can. Unless you're the weirdo guy, then don't do that. But if you're anybody else, please draft me on DraftKings coming up at 3 p.m. as well on Stochastic, and I'll tip you guys off as well in the Discord. And go check the Discord as well. If you want things like team reviews, the chat's asking for, you got to be on the Discord to do it. Of course, at this point, I'm not doing them for a bunch, but hop in the Discord. If you drop a screenshot and you ask me for feedback, tag me in it. I will probably reply to you for a few teams here and there. So $5 to join, supports the channel. You guys know the deal here. And of course, Drafters, make sure you're going on there. Promo code SPLASH at drafters.com or the Drafters app. If you want to see rooms filled, no better way to see rooms filled than by actually creating an account and going on to Drafters right now. And you can see here, like, I didn't do anything special in this room, and I soaked up a lot of value. That happens over and over again on Drafters. For whatever reason, people just like to do weird shit on Drafters. That's why I've had good finishes there. Finished top 100 a couple of years ago in the same tournament we're drafting in now. Finished top 10 in playoff best ball last year with only 3 entries. That's what you get going for yourself on Drafters. So do check it out for yourself. Again, drafters.com, download the app, use the promo code SPLASH for a $100 deposit match, and to support the show. Shout out to all you guys who hung out today. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe, do all that stuff, because I'm getting back into post-vacation mode here. Now the grind starts for me. A lot more content coming up on the Splash Play channel, including our news updates starting next week. Short form videos in the morning coming up on the channel too. So hopefully that'll be another thing to add value here. Gamble responsibly, guys, even though it is always money time. And again, join the Discord. Great community there. Love seeing you guys in there. Love what we're building. And, you know, that's what we're going to keep doing on there. So join the channel, add the Discord. Easy to do. Just click the link in the description when you want to join the Discord if you are a member. And I'll be back in 30 minutes, guys. So see you on Stochastic. Enjoy your days, guys. Good luck. And keep drafting. All right. Bye, guys.